Awesome. All right, we're going to fire this thing up. I waited 5 minutes. I'm a big believer in starting on time. Appreciate you guys' time, so I'm not going to waste any of it waiting for folks. As they trickle in, we'll just make room for them. That'll be all good. But we're going to start this thing on time so we can get you out of here on time. We've got an action-packed 3 hours. Really excited to do this. So thanks for your investment of time and money in this. We did some good. We raised a couple grand. I haven't added it all up yet, but a couple grand for sure for Hampers, which was the big drive for doing this. And yeah, we're going to build on last year. How many in this room were at last year's event? Got a handful. Okay, awesome. And then the rest, obviously, first time here. Welcome. Thank you. I'm going to send out the recording of last year's event just so I actually already have, but then there's some new folks that kind of trickled in last minute, as is the case. So we'll resend out the recording of last year's event because we're really going to build on that this year. Last year was very systems oriented. It was talking a lot about how to put processes and procedures in place to be able to scale your business. This year's got a bit of a different flavor to it. We're going to go a little more towards kind of where we're at in the market today and how to kind of still continue to kick butt despite the fact that things have changed a little. So as I look around, I see tons of familiar faces. Also, I see some folks that don't know me that well. Sorry, is my volume okay, guys, or do I need to project a little more? All right, I can project a little bit more. Thank you for that. So yeah, as I said, I'm AJ Hazzi. I've been doing this for about 21 years now, and I've made just about every mistake you could possibly make in this business, and so I've learned a lot along the way because all the lessons are just based on failing forward, right? And if you want a real vulnerable 20-minute speech from me, you got to watch last year's video. I'm not going to do that again, where I talk about my kind of journey up to this point. But you're all getting a recording of that. There's a funny story of me breaking open a piggy bank to put gas in my Aston Martin, so you can watch that at my expense. And it's a funny story of me and Wade Webb. But in any case, this year it's all about just bringing as much value as we can. I do this because I want to create some goodwill in this industry. I really love this business. It's been very, very good to me, and I want to pay it forward a little bit. And candidly, I made a goal to get half decent at speaking. I'm nowhere near there, but I'm trying to get some reps in doing it. So this is the second time we've done it, and I want to do it every year. Keep raising money for charity, keep bringing value, and hopefully create a cool networking event where we can get together, rub shoulders with some of the people, and forge relationships. Because the market we're going into, relationships are 5 times more important than they were when we were kind of hair straight back, the one we just came from. So we got to band together, lift each other up, right? And be the example and share what's working, share our failures, be vulnerable, and that's really what this is all about. So let's get into it. What are we doing today? Well, we're going to talk about our new reality. We're going to accept the fact that things have changed. We're going to talk about specifically where we are and where it goes from here. Then I'm going to talk about the attitude that's required to win. It's a bit of a mental shift that we have to make. And when we get our head on right, then and only then can we kind of move forward and really tackle this market head on. Now, it's also a skill-based market. We have left a market where it was really just all about being able to provide service and try to keep up. Now we're in a very skill-based market. So I'm going to get granular with you guys, go through some of the skills that are required to dominate this market. Oops, sorry. What else are we going to do? We're going to talk about some tactics. I'm going to get on the whiteboard there, even though I'm not left-handed. I'm going to try and share with you guys some tactics that work and teach you guys a little bit about some of the creative stuff that got me through 2009, 10, 11, when I just opened Vantage West and the market collapsed on us right at that moment. And so we had no choice but to get known for the creative type real estate that we are known for now. And I'm going to show you, open that playbook up a little bit. Then we're going to talk about building a fence around your clients. The market we've come through we were just playing defense, right? There was so much coming at us that you could afford to allow some stuff to escape through the back door. The market we're going into now, you have to play offense and you have to plug the hole in the bucket. You've got to close the back door. You can't allow any of your clients to go out and be gobbled up by some of your competitors. So there's a way to do that skillfully. We're going to show you how do we do that. And I've also got a guest speaker here who's going to share how he's systemized it in a really cool way, marrying some great technology and building out some really, really thorough campaigns. And he's been working on our team, or with our team, I should say, to build that out over the last year or so. Super excited about that. Then Shannon Stone is going to come join me for a little Q&A panel in the second half. So you guys will go out on a 20-minute phone and bio break. So yeah, on that, little bit of housekeeping. If you don't mind, just try and stay off your phones a little bit while I'm doing this. We are going to, in about an hour's time, give you guys an opportunity to go out into the hallway, fill your coffee, quick bio break, check your phones, all that. But I'm going to try and play full out for you guys and bring as much value as I can. All that I ask in return is that when I look out, I see your eyes, not the top of your head. Cool? Awesome. All right. So we're going to have an Ask an Oldie Q&A panel. Really, it's just like, I want you guys, any questions that you have or you're thinking of, if you haven't been through a downturn yet, I imagine you have some questions. We're going to be as open book and as vulnerable as you need us to be, and just feel free to fire whatever questions that you have. I do want this to be interactive, though. This isn't TV, so do please have some questions for us. I've asked Shannon to come and join me on stage. It would be really cool if we had some thoughtful questions that her and I could dive into and spitball together. Sound good? Beautiful. Then we're going to get to the business planning side of it, because that's what you signed up for. So we're going to try and leave some time for that, and I'll show you our process for how we plan within our business. And then you guys get the fuck out of here. But take somebody random to lunch as well, all that I ask. I think that these networking opportunities are a good chance for us to connect with people that we ordinarily wouldn't. So I would just challenge you to go to lunch with somebody that you haven't done lunch with before afterwards. I wish it could be me, but I have to race home and look after my toddler because the wife's got an appointment. So I won't be available for lunch, but take someone random. All right. Is this a fair statement? Yeah. Yep, definitely. So almost the polar opposite, and it happened on a dime, didn't it? So many of us thought it wasn't going to happen. Some of us for sure knew it would. There was a lot of varying opinion on this, but I don't think it's open for debate anymore. We're in a different market. Yeah? Okay. I like this meme. I'm kind of a meme guy, so you'll see a few funny memes along the way. But I thought this really captured the spirit. Excuse me. So the headlines last year were all about big tech. In fact, in October last year when I stood on the stage, I did a whole bit on all of the disintermediary technology that was coming. All these prop tech companies that were seeking to disintermediate us, grab their market share, and they were gaining a ton of horsepower and momentum because they were venture-backed. They were coming in with hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars to go out and buy market share. So those were the headlines last year, less than a year ago. Fast forward to today, now all we're hearing about, if you subscribe to Inman, you'll see this stuff daily in your inbox. Billions of losses, the brutality of all these prop tech companies. They were over-leveraged, and they were throwing gas on a fire that they didn't have business models that were sustainable, and they certainly didn't have business models that could weather any kind of downturn. And that's what's happened now. So you're seeing these major failures on a world stage now because they're publicly traded companies. So you get to see all the blood and gore. Open Door, OfferPad, all of the iBuyers. Properly was one in Canada that's recently gone through a series of layoffs, and they've exited iBuying. All these big players have all left iBuying. For those of you who don't know iBuying, it's institutional buying. That's where you can sell direct, skip the hassle of selling, sell direct to a company. All of those companies were buying huge amounts of market share, and pretty well they've all left the market now. They lost hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, and they've now exited the space. So that's actually good news for realtors because all of these technology darlings that were trying to be sort of agent-backed technology, they're technology on the front stage with agents supporting it. Now it's agent-enabled technology, technology-enabled agents, right? So agents are on the front at the forefront now with technology supporting it. So it's a nice switch. It's very good for the longevity of our industry. So that's good news. Compass was another company in the US. They're literally burning cash. They were throwing tons of money at realtors, tons of money at brokers, and with a really unsustainable, unprofitable business model that almost completely undermined the brokerage model in North America with what Compass was doing. They have since, the kind of tide's out now, we can see who's not wearing clothes. This model does not work, and so that's also good news for the industry. We're not seeing all this race to the bottom, throwing around funny money, taking the agents out of the equation. I don't know if you follow Chris Smith, but he put it really pretty well. 33 companies in the last little while have laid off 50 people. There's 24 companies laid off 100. All the way down, there's 4 major companies that have laid off over 1,000. Winter isn't coming, winter is here. I think that is a very fair statement. Can you see this okay? Is it big enough? Yeah, okay. So I did the math myself. I wanted to know what the addressable market for agents was. So for the last 4 or 5 months, we've been hovering around 300 sales a month, okay? Now, if we assume that every one of those sales has 2 ends involved, which is not the case, but let's just go for the sake of this math and assume that every deal has an opportunity for 2 agents to get paid, okay? That would mean that there's 600 monthly ends available. In our central Okanagan market, this doesn't include South Okanagan and North Okanagan, but just in our central Okanagan market, you have 1,129 agents. Now, it's not distributed evenly, as we all know. The top 5% of agents, meaning like the top 50 to 55 agents in our marketplace, will still in this market do at least 4 deals a month. They're just established. We have multiple agents in our office that are doing 4 deals a month. That's probably a low number, but I wanted this to be like irrefutable. So if you take 55 agents and put 4 deals a month on their plate, that's 220 deals out of the 600 gone. What that leaves is 380, okay? There's 380 remaining ends for roughly 1,080 people. What that equals is there's exactly 1 deal for every 3 months. So if it was all distributed, if the bottom 95% got it equally, which they won't, but if they did, there's enough money or enough deals for 1 per quarter. I'm not trying to suck the oxygen out of the room. Just the simple fact is there's going to be a lot of broke realtors. I don't want anybody in this room to be one of them. So we're going to get into the tactics. We're going to get into the attitudes, the skills that are required to kick ass, because it's not all doom and gloom. I will share with you in a minute. But the big switch, I know interest rates are at the forefront of why it's happened, but what has really happened, what is the big pendulum swing, is the prevailing emotion has gone from one of greed to one of fear. And that happens almost overnight. You've seen sellers going from this mindset of, I'm going to wait because it pays to wait. Buyers going from the mindset of, I've got to get in, it's going to cost me, that fear of missing out, it's going to cost me to wait, to the complete opposite, almost overnight. Now sellers are panicking to get their homes on the market because they're trying not to participate in the full slide. And buyers are going, maybe it's time for me to wait, because it's shifted from greed to one of fear. Everybody get that? That's the big change. Interest rates are not the big change. It's the emotion of the market that's changed. And with that, we need to understand what our clientele are feeling and what they're thinking. And when you can have that empathy and you can step into their shoes and understand what they're looking for right now, they're looking for guidance, they're looking for leadership, they're looking for someone who can help them navigate the storm, okay? Because they're fearful. Previously, when they were greedy, all they were looking for was somebody who could help them capitalize on it. Just help me get in, or help me sell this house for as much as it's worth. It's a totally different animal now. I track market cycles. I don't know if you guys geek out on this stuff the way I do, but the way the market cycle works, it booms, it slumps, it recovers. Booms, it slumps, it recovers. It always goes this way. That is comforting to know that, because if you know where you are, you know where you're going. It doesn't go backwards. It always moves in the same clockwise direction. So, the market peak, when was that? That was probably around March, as we know, right? If we look at the graph, then we've gone into a slowdown. Where I believe we are today, and this is just my educated opinion, is that we are kind of in the middle of it right now. We're in the eye of the storm, right in the middle of the slide, okay? Which, as scary as that is, the good news of that is eventually we're going to be able to call the bottom, okay? We're getting close to approaching the bottom. Once we can call the bottom, that is a signal for people to get off the sidelines and start spending. Now, they won't without really good leadership. They won't unless you're able to transfer that enthusiasm to the marketplace. And so that's what you need to take from this presentation today, is that sales really is this transfer of enthusiasm. And so when you know where you are, you know where you're going. And when you know what's coming next is rosy, and after that, even rosier, right? Then you can confidently advise and consult people on the right move. So I say we're here. That's okay. That's not the end of the world. How I know that is I track all of these different market drivers and market influencers. Now, this is a very complicated thing, and it's, I guess, meant to be sort of impressive. But the way that we do it is we look at the drivers, whether it's the population, employment, this is like the macroeconomic stuff. We're looking at housing construction, first-time buyers, all the way down through some of the financial drivers, real estate ROIs, rents, incomes, gross domestic product. We're tracking all this stuff, and then we're highlighting what's true in each of these things. And as you can see, the boom, the slump, and the recovery all have a first, second, and third trimester, if you will, right? And you'll know where you are once you add them up. And so where we are is dead square in the middle of a slump. Beginning to middle is kind of where this thing really weights heavily. We're not at the end, as you can see here. Okay, so that's how we know where we are. But we know where we're going next, and we know what to look for to tell us when we're there. So I follow this stuff, and I'm happy to share this spreadsheet with you guys if you want. Do your own research, you can. I put out Vantage reports as well that are the kind of synthesis of this research. So I'm not going to go on forever about the slump, but I do want everyone to kind of have the same amount of context on this. So 2008, okay, we had a pretty nasty little slide. It was about 20%, okay? It took 11 months for that slide to happen, from peak to trough. It took 11 months. Then it took 8 years to get back to where we were, okay? A lot of people don't realize that, but that is the simple fact. That happened. Is that going to happen again? I don't know. We can move through time quicker now. Things can recover faster. But the only thing we know is what we've just recently done, and it suggests to me that it could take as long as that to get back to peak. That's okay. There's a lot of opportunity in this space. Now, if you extrapolate that forward, and you look over here, you can see this run-up back in 2008 was less steep than this one. This is even more steep. This is like unprecedented growth, what we just had. And so, of course, it's followed by an unprecedentedly steep decline, right? This is almost coming down at the same rate it was going up, just like that did. Now, this yellow thing represents the 11 months that it took to get from peak to trough. So what that tells me is we got a little more pain to go through here, okay? That's where that kind of levels off, which, if you zoom out, is still like mid-2020 pricing. It's not the end of the world. It's not like we're not going back to 2015 pricing. We're going to give away a year and a half of the gains. Zoomed out, real estate still performed really well. Anything you sold in the last year and a half, they're a little less happy about the picture. So hopefully they have a long-term mindset, and they just got to buckle up for a while. It will recover. It always does. Who in the room was in real estate when we went through the financial crisis? We got one, handful, two, three. Okay, we've got a few OGs in here. Shannon for sure. Yeah, so that was an interesting time for sure. That was when literally overnight the banks just stopped lending. Now we've got really high interest rates, but at least they're willing to participate. No one can afford the interest, or no one can afford the mortgage, but at least they're willing. At this point in time, the tap's shut. It was really ugly. This was not a fun time to be in real estate, and it forced us to get really creative on how to get deals done. And so some of that creativity that was born in that era of necessity, I'm going to share with you guys today, because that's what got us through it. That is how we managed to continue to do deals and continue to find growth in a market where it was totally stagnant. Now, who in the room has been in the business in this era here, this little run-up that we've had since 2016? So 5 years or so, okay? So that was like a mellow pace, right? That was not bad. It was growing, but it wasn't bananas like it was here. Who in the room just participated in this, but they didn't see anything before that. So this is the only context they have in real estate. Okay, yeah, good. So like 20% of the industry, right? And then who in our room has just gotten into the business, didn't even get to participate in the bananas, and just got in right here? Okay. Excuse me. So this meme kind of sums up that feeling, I bet. No, it's funny, but also it is a blessing. Let me share with you that this is a blessing that you're starting your career now, okay? It didn't feel like it at the time for me in 2008 when I started my own brokerage and the market fell out from under me. It did not feel like a blessing. You wouldn't have been able to convince me of that at the time. It felt terrible. But the folks that have only been in the mental, like the last people right before you, even though they got to make some money during that period of time, it wasn't easy, but the habits you build in the early stages of your career, that's what sticks with you for the rest. And so if you come in when it's hard and you set those habits and you have that attitude and those skills, then that carries you through into the next boom. And by the time the next boom comes around, you're already established, you've got clientele, you've got skills, you've got confidence, and your market share goes bananas from there. So I just want to let everyone know, if you got into the business late, it's not too late. It's actually a blessing. Okay, it is a blessing, because the bad habits that you form when the market plays offense and it's all you can do to keep up and it's hair straight back, you don't need to develop systems. You don't need to learn how to get on the phone and make outbound calls. You're just trying to keep up, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not going to do you any good as we move into the market we're going into now. So good for you for getting in. It's not a bad time. You're not too late. You're right on time. We're obviously not going to just stick our heads in the sand, right? We are going to embrace what we've got and figure out how to capitalize and make the most of it. I truly believe 90%, 95% of people are going to focus on the crisis. They're going to focus on how bad everything is. It's always been, I think, anybody that's a real true entrepreneur tries to take a problem and figure out what's the upside. Where's the opportunity in this, okay? So I don't see a crisis. All I see right now is opportunity. I'm excited. This market, this is what we're built for. I love this stuff. Now is the time to invest. I don't care what you're investing in. I don't care if it's Bitcoin. Now is the time to invest because everything's on sale, okay? But the most important thing you want to invest in is yourself. So kudos to you for making the investment of time and money to come here today, but keep doing it. Go to seminars, listen to podcasts, continue to level up, buy the courses, do it all because this is the time. You've got a little extra time on your hands, level up your skills. This is the time that there's no greater investment you can make than that of yourself. Next, invest in your business. Now, those investments, that was what the bulk of last year's event was about. So if you want to learn about what those business investments were, I would highly recommend go back, revisit last year's recording. You all have a copy of that. Systems, the marketing, all that stuff. That's what was about last year. So, but this is the time. This is the time to invest in your business. You have a little bit of extra time. A year ago, as much as you wanted to invest in your business, all you were trying to do was keep up. Now you've got the time. Build the foundation, invest in your business, and invest in distressed assets, right? Like this is the time. If you can do the first two right and you can build some surplus, this is the best time to build wealth. There will be more millionaires created during this cycle than even during the last one, okay? This is gonna be the opportunity of our generation. And so invest in yourself, build a surplus, and invest in distressed assets. I love this saying, bear markets are for building. Okay, this is the opportunity to build something truly great, whether it's, well, what is it? What are we building? We're gonna build our dream business, right? We're gonna create, whether that's a team or whether that's just the most perfectly smooth solo operation or whether you wanna build a brokerage, whatever it is, now is the time to build it, okay? Build your dream business. Build your reputation and build brand equity during a down market. We had the opportunity to do that. We got creative. We got known for being able to find a good deal. We got known for being great negotiators. We got known for being creative, having problems, or having solutions for problems. We got known for that, and then we developed a reputation. I developed all kinds of other reputation as well along that process, but to the marketplace, we got a pretty strong brand identity of being able to service people in a down market. We're like the down market scrappy firm. That was what we got known for at that time. And it gave us some brand equity, and it gave us a really solid reputation. And build your real estate portfolio. If you don't have any money, good news, you don't need it. In this market, you don't even need money to buy real estate. You just need to understand how to do it. You need to understand the tactics. You need to understand the deal structures, the creative deal structures to be able to acquire. But you could build a pretty sizable portfolio over the next 3 to 5 years, and it's not going to come down to your available capital or your ability to finance. There's all kinds of creative ways to do it, but you got to level up the skills to be able to do it. It doesn't take money to make money, it just takes skills. That make sense? I built a pretty solid real estate portfolio for myself. I ran out of money very early, and then I leveled up my skills, and I started to acquire stuff, mainly by way of understanding how to get my hands onto real estate without any money or any financing. I love this. I saw this tweet the other day, and I had to add it to the presentation. So this gal here, she's obviously a little younger than me, but she says her biggest financial mistake was being in 8th grade the last time this came around. That was, you're going to get another opportunity, okay? We're getting a do-over on the financial crisis. Who here wishes that they would have had money, credit, ability during the last time real estate went on sale? Who wishes? Not everyone? Okay. Well, I wish I would have taken even more advantage of it, and I'm super excited because this year I plan to take serious advantage of the opportunity, okay? I'm going to acquire a ton of real estate over the next 3 to 5 years, and I really hope that you guys all do because, as I said last year, there's no pension in this business, okay? No one's coming to save us. The only way you're gonna get your way out of having to do this every day, I don't want you to be 80 years old still having to go sell real estate. The only way to get out of it is to build a portfolio, okay? That is the way. There we go. Cool. So let's start with attitude. What does it take to win? What does it take to really put ourselves in the mental space to stop thinking about all the shitty headlines and really get into it where we're like, okay, we're ready to take this head on? Well, you got to control your thoughts, right? If you're constantly thinking, if your feed, your social media feed, if what you're watching on the news is negative, that is going to impact your thoughts. You got to get out of that. There are lots of positive people right now, podcasts, lots of really good content you can follow where people are jacked up about the opportunity. That's where you need to be spending your time. That's what you need to be thinking about. You can't be thinking about the tailspin that the rest of the world's going into. There's going to be a lot of broke people. We're not going to be one of them. You got to be mindful of the words that you use. The language that you use every day will dictate how people respond to you. Clients, people in the industry. If you're constantly talking about how rough and hard things are, it's just like the opposite of this was when things were really busy. If you constantly communicate to the marketplace that you're busy, you repel business because people go, oh, I don't want to give that person any business. If you're constantly using language that says that you're scared, language that says that you're negative, people are like, well, this person obviously doesn't have a handle on it or doesn't have any solutions. I'm scared too. We don't need two scared people here, right? So mindful of the language that you use. It's really important. And be mindful of the crew that you hang out with. This goes back to exactly what I was saying with the feed. Be mindful of the people you spend your days with because, if you're at a big office with 100, 200 people, it's not going to be difficult to find a crew of people who think the sky is falling. Most of them are going to retire pretty quick here anyway, so there's no point hanging around with them. You want to be around people who are excited, who are fired up, and are planning to build something awesome. Be around those people. That's what you need. It's your associations will mean more to you than almost anything else right now because we're a product of the people we spend the most of our time with, right? So be super mindful of all this stuff, the thoughts, the language, the associations. It's so, so key. I'm going to keep hammering the upside before we get into the tactics, okay? There's some serious upside to this. There's huge, huge opportunities. One thing to realize, okay, we went from 900 sales a month to 300. That's a 66% actual decline in sales. If you were to hold your ground during that period of time, no growth, but you held your ground, you'd have a 66% increase of your market share, right? If you grow by 20% while everybody's shrinking by 50, you've actually grown by 70 in terms of the addressable market, and that will pay off later. Okay, so holding your ground and actually outperforming the market, what it's doing, that's the measure. What's the market doing? Am I outperforming the market? Okay, you may not be able to outperform what you did last year. I hope that you can, and I believe that you could, but the real measure is, are you outperforming the market? Because if you are, your actual market share is growing. The upside to being the lighthouse in the storm, we use this terminology a lot. So in a storm, obviously, people will look towards the lighthouse for navigation, for guidance. That's what we need to be right now as agents. We need to be that lighthouse in the storm, that person who understands what comes next. We know where we are. We know where we're going. We have strategies. We know who buying and selling is right for, who buying and selling is wrong for, and we can provide solutions and opportunities and strategies to those people. If you can do that, you become so attractive. Clients are attracted to you because they're like, okay, this person has the solution. I'm scared. You want to go and find somebody with leadership ability who's confident and knows where they're going. Okay, I'll follow that person. If you have any ambitions to build a team, there's going to be some amazing talent back in the marketplace because people are downsizing, playing it small. There's going to be some phenomenal talent in the marketplace who will be attracted to somebody who has vision and who is confident and excited about where we're going. So if you can do that, if you can be that lighthouse in the storm, there's huge upside to attract clients and teammates. And of course, I'm going to keep hammering this. Your favorite asset class is on sale. Now, that may not be for everyone real estate. It is for me. It could be Bitcoin. It's on sale right now. Anything you want to buy, stock, you want to buy the S&P 500, it's on sale. The upside to a down market is a big sale on the thing that you like to buy. Okay, so that's huge. Please, please, please don't waste this opportunity. Also, who here likes to be valued with what they do for a living? Right? Yeah. I like to be valued. It's important to me that, the opposite of like a house waiter. I don't want to be the person that just opens doors for people. I want to be a valued professional. I want to be as valuable or more valuable than their financial advisor, their accountant, their lawyer. I really believe realtors can own that spot, but you got to level up the skills. The nice thing is this market's going to force you to do it. So we get to negotiate and protect our buyers. How valuable did you guys feel when you were asking people to throw caution to the wind? You can have no subjects, no inspection, and you got to pay $150,000 over list. How valuable in that transaction did you feel? You could have got away with saying, well, I'm going to get your offer accepted, and maybe felt some value there, but really, what were you doing at that moment in time that made you feel truly valuable? For me, not much. It doesn't land for me. Now, I like negotiating, so now I get a chance to do it. I like protecting people and making sure that their asses are covered. We get a chance to do that, okay? Way, way more valuable. Working for sellers, you get an opportunity to preserve their equity. How valuable did you feel when you put it on the market and before it even hit the market, it was already had multiple offers on it, or before you even got to do any of the marketing you said you were going to do in your presentation, all of a sudden there's 10 offers on it and it goes for over list. How valuable did you feel? We can delude ourselves and say, oh, I was valuable because I got you 100K over list, but let's be real. The shortage of inventory was what was doing most of the heavy lifting. If you really, really were honest with yourself, you didn't feel that valuable. Is that a fair statement? Yeah. So the opposite of that is now 2 out of 3 homes are not going to sell. Okay? We know that if people get off the ride now and sell their house now versus 6 months from now, you are preserving their equity. We're talking about houses are falling at 3% a month. If you get someone's house sold today versus it selling 60 days from now, you might have just saved them 60 or 70 grand. That's valuable. That's more than your commission. That's valuable. You're providing real value in that moment, and you're helping people move on. Because a lot of times people are moving for other reasons other than money, and people like to move on. You're valuable when you can help them move on versus being in the 2 out of 3 that are expired or withdrawn or have to go through the process again. So our role as realtors is infinitely more valuable in a down market. So take comfort in that. That's I think, a huge upside. And if you can show leadership, if you're excited and you eat your own cooking and you actually live and breathe the stuff yourself, you can guide people into making some of the best financial decisions that they're going to make. People who are willing to do the uncommon thing over the next 2 to 4 years are the ones who are going to build huge wealth. And if you can, again, it's going to take leadership because they're not going to come to you and say, I got to get into this thing, right? They're going to require you to say, hey, I know it seems a little counterintuitive right now, but now is actually the time to be buying this stuff when we're not competing for it, when it's on sale. And if you can do that, how valuable is that? I have clients. I had a client the other day, actually thanks to some of the reconnection campaigns we've been doing with Adam, but I had a client, I haven't talked to him in 14 years, to be honest, but I convinced him to buy a place in 2009. And it was something that he was really scared to do. And anyways, we did the deal. I stopped thinking about it, really, till we talked to him today. And he's sitting on $700,000 worth of equity. Guy's never made more than 90K in his life. He's got $700,000 worth of equity. And he said to me, he goes, that was the best decision I ever made, and I would have never made it had you not told me to, had you not forced me to do it. And I was like, wow, that's cool. That's really cool. And I know there's other people like that, but it was cool to have that experience where I was like, I did something, I impacted this person's future, right? They've got not legacy money, but they've got a pretty bulletproof financial future for the fact that they did that thing that would have been way outside of his comfort zone at that time. We all have that opportunity to do that right now, to help people. Buying when things are low is a very good idea, despite what the interest rates are doing. So it takes a certain posture to do this, okay? So what do you need to do? First of all, you gotta be excited, right? You can't get anybody excited if you're not excited. So number one, you really have to believe this stuff. Best way to do that is to eat your own cooking, be your own best customer, then you get excited, okay? But you gotta have the posture of excitement. You gotta be excited about the opportunities. You have to project strength. You have to project that you know where things are going, and that's where understanding the real estate cycle, understanding kind of things at a macroeconomic level, when you know where you are and you can speak intelligently about it, then you're now in a space to project that kind of confidence, project that kind of strength. So take the time to learn that stuff so that you can be that leader, be that lighthouse in the storm. The opposite of that would be desperation. The literal worst thing you could do. Nothing reeks like commission breath. The worst thing you could do is take your own financial circumstances or your own scarcity mindset and project that onto your clients. It will repel people. It will feed the slump monster like nothing else. So you have to play like the money's in your pocket. Even if you're behind on rent, I don't care. You have to in this business. If you want to influence anybody to do things that are good for them, they need to believe that they are standing in the presence of someone who's got their shit together. Okay, so you have to project that. That's a huge piece of the puzzle right now. And it's tough to do, but you got to fake it till you make it. And you got to have some solutions. Tools in the tool belt are super important, right? You can't be a one-trick pony. It's not going to cut it just to have a lockbox key and to be able to get somebody on the MLS. That is not going to cut it now. You got to have some tools in the tool belt. So level up. Get those tools. Learn the creative strategies. Align yourselves with other people who can help you move through these difficult situations and difficult transactions. It's so important that you've got the confidence in your ability to truly provide solutions. There's always a solution to every problem. You just have to have the different tools in the tool belt. And this is really important. This is why I went into the market cycle. You have to project and posture an awareness and an understanding that, hey, this is temporary, and I know exactly where this goes next. This goes into a recovery. And you know what comes after that? Another boom. And when you can project that, then people will follow, okay? That's the posture you need to win in this market. Best way to do this, every morning, every night, if you can, is gratitude. It is impossible to be in a place of scarcity if you come from a place of gratitude. That's why every single meeting we have as a team, we start with gratitude, because it is impossible to be focused on any kind of negativity or scarcity when you're in a place of gratitude, okay? And some people have different reasons to be grateful, right? But every morning, say 3 things you're grateful for. You know, I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for the fact that, you know, I have abundance in my life. I'm grateful for my family. Maybe if you're not in a space of abundance, you have to focus on the fact that you have running water and flushing toilets and a roof over your head. That's better than many, many people in the world. But there's always something to be grateful for, okay? So gratitude, it's a non-negotiable. Stay in that space of gratitude, you can't lose. Also, right now, we're talking about skills, leveling up, the content that you put in yourself. Here's kind of my recommended reading right now. Fanatical Prospecting is by a gentleman by the name of Jeb Blunt. It's all about just giving you a kick in the pants. It gets you over the call reluctance. It gets you just in that mode to play offense. As I said before, you're not going to be able to get by playing defense. The phone's not going to ring anymore. We have to make other people's phones ring, and you have to get in the right mindset to do that. So a good way to do that, the kick in the pants everybody needs, is Fanatical Prospecting. The other 2 books are really about kind of giving you some context and giving you an understanding around how to navigate a shifted market. So Gary Keller wrote this in the financial crisis. That one is the Bible for me. That got me through that. That was really where, you know, I got the confidence and the skills to push through 2008. There's a new one by the same author as the first called Selling in a Crisis, and that's specific to this one. He just wrote that, and it's maybe a little bit more geared to this day and age, but these are both very, very good books to give you some tactics around how to navigate the crisis. So I don't have all the answers, but they're all in here, okay? So read the books. Not to sound like a broken record, but we're all gonna have to pick up the 1,000-pound phone, okay? That is just the reality. That is just the hard reality. The phone is not ringing anymore. Who's experiencing that, right? We've gotta be willing to play offense, okay? And we can try to outsmart this. You know, we can try to do all these whiz-bang things with technology. I thought this meme, I'll have to explain it because it's very busy, but I thought this really summed it up, okay? So along the bottom line here this is intelligence score, right? And this is a distribution curve of people. So the dum-dums just call people and ask for their business, right? And then as you get a little smarter, you know, to the main, we all try to outsmart it, right? We don't want to call people and ask for their business, so we're chatbotting and emails and PPC and all these things, right? We're trying to outsmart the reality, and then the Jedis here at the end, the real top 2% of people just call people and ask for their business. It's really not that complicated. I think this is a cute cartoon, so I wanted to throw it in there. All right. Let's get into some tactics here. The skills that pay the bills. Numero uno, active listening. This was something that does not come to me naturally. I was not a natural active listener. I tend to do twice as much talking as I do listening. Not a great skill. You really, in this market, need to become an active listener. So the way that I did that systematically was I got a set of questions that I ask at every meeting, okay? The 7 must-ask questions and there's a YouTube video called The 7 Questions to Ask at Every Meeting that I put out, so you can watch that. But when you have a set of questions, then you can listen and then write down their answer, right? That's the key. Ask a great question, write down their answer, and then mirror back to them what you understood, right? Why are you guys thinking about moving? Or what's got you guys thinking about going through this process? Okay, what does that mean to you? Ask the next question. Write down the answers. That's active listening. You're not going to be able to just jump right into service mode. You have to understand why people are doing what they're doing because it may not be the right for them. It might be a great idea, it might be a terrible idea, but the only way you're going to discover that is through that discovery process of asking phenomenal questions and writing their answers down and asking the next question. So that's a huge skill. If you're not a great listener, you got to level up your listening skills. I had to learn this one the hard way. Number 2, market and economic understanding. You can't skate by anymore without a really firm grasp on what the heck is going on in the world. You got to understand it at a macro level. You kind of have to understand a little bit of the geopolitical landscape in the world because people are going to come to you with those objections for why they don't want to work, why they don't want to do business now, right? They're going to talk to you about what's going on in the Ukraine. They're going to talk to you about what's going on with the US dollar, right? And so you need to have some understanding. I would suggest a very good understanding of what's going on in the world so you can speak intelligently about that because if you can't, it's a hard stop. That person no longer trusts you. That person no longer feels that you can provide them with any kind of guidance or leadership, okay? So you got to level up. You should also understand the very local, micro-level market that we're in, right? You should be able to say, okay, that's happening over there, but here's what's going on here. Here's where we are in terms of months of inventory. Here's the trend. Here's where it's heading next. Here are some of the signals that I'm seeing that suggest to me that things are getting better, right? You have to be able to speak intelligently about that. For example, the US is now reporting increased mortgage demand for the 3rd week in a row. Good little tidbit to have, right? Some of the mortgage players are starting to suggest that by Q1 we could see fixed rates back in the 4s. Good little thing to know. You can help guide people when you know what's coming next, but you got to be plugged in, right? You got to turn off the social media shit and start really focusing on the stuff that levels you up. This is huge. You got to be able to tell the truth to people right now, okay? We can't tell people what they want to hear. You got to tell them what they need to hear. Radical candor is the thing that is what everybody, they don't know they want it, but they need it, okay? You got to be able to look a seller in the eye and say, I'm sorry, that may have happened back in May. It's not happening now, okay? But here's what I know. It's going to get worse from here. And so the quicker we get serious, the quicker we get our head around our reality, the better you're going to do financially. But I would be doing you a disservice to let you go into the market thinking that would make any sense to do it, right? But you can't say that unless you know. So you got to level up on the skills, and then you have to be willing to tell the hard truth, right? The only people that are going to make it through this and be able to get listings sold are the ones that are willing to tell the truth to people and give them what they need to know. And then empathy. On the other side of hard truths is also understanding that for some people this is going to be really hard. And for some people these are big pills to swallow. And so if you're not a naturally empathetic person, this would be a skill you'd want to try to bolster. You can work on that. Read books like The E-Myth, things like that. If you're not truly an empathetic person, there's lots of ways to develop empathy, but you have to be able to put yourself in the shoes of your clients. Some of them are going through really tough times. The only reason why people might be willing to sell right now is that they're facing something financially or facing something within their family dynamic that's forcing that to happen. So you have to be empathetic enough about that. You have to know, why are people even moving right now, right? You can't just think about it in terms of deals or clients are all equal. Well, why would anybody move right now? And you have to be empathetic enough to know, hey, I get it. This isn't probably what you had dreamt up when you bought this house, right? And you have to be able to speak that level of empathy with your clients. It's a huge skill. Once we call the bottom and the investors are willing to get off the sidelines a little bit, it's going to be time to learn to speak the language of the investor. Okay? If you haven't needed to up to this point, no problem. Now, these are who have their checkbook out, investors. They are not looking for someone to go open doors for them. That is not what they're looking for. They are looking for somebody who can analyze a deal, find a deal, provide guidance. Okay? So working with investor clients, I'm going to dive a little deeper into this because this was one of the things, if I have anything to teach anyone, it's got to be this. So first step with an investor, you got to understand why. Why are you investing right now? What are we trying to do? Is it cash flow? Are we looking for capital gain? Are we trying to build multi-generational wealth? Is this what you're trying to live on? Are you trying to be a flipper and live on the income? Like, what are we doing here? You got to understand that. Okay? That's super important. It's a do not pass go. You got to understand their why. Next, you have to understand the person that you're talking with. What is their experience level? Tell me about some successful real estate investments you've done in the past. What have you done well? Tell me about some failures. Where are you coming into the conversation? Are you brand new? Am I going to have to hold your hand completely? Or are you coming in as an experienced investor? You need to know that early on. You cannot just blindly go out and start servicing investors unless you know why they're doing it and what their level of experience is. That's kind of like your permission to play. You also, and it's totally appropriate to ask financial questions in this situation, you need to understand their capacity to do business, okay? Do they have financing lined up? Do they have capital ready to go? There are a lot of people, and I learned this the hard way, there are a lot of people who think they're real estate investors. They are not. And you may have some really good strategies for buying stuff with zero down and no credit, but that's probably not, unless you have nothing else going on, that's probably not the clientele you're looking to work with, right? You want people who are able to do business, so you have to be able to qualify them. You have to be able to make sure that they have the capacity to do business. So many people make this mistake. They don't really understand their investors, clients' expectations around return. So a good question to ask in the beginning is, what would make this a home run for you, right? What type of return are you expecting? And you want them to quantify it in terms of a percentage, like a return on their investment, okay? You need to know what their expectations are so that if you find something that beats that, then you can say, well, hey, based on what we talked about, I think this makes a lot of sense. But if you don't know where their expectations are, then you're going to be constantly in this space of looking for something that's a bigger, better deal, right? So you need to know. And you got to understand their challenges. So some investors, and there's three things. You have time, you have money or financeability, and you have expertise. Some investors have all three. Some have one of the three, right? You got to know where they're coming in. So what are your challenges? Are you a little short on time? No problem. I got time right now. I'm not doing any business. I can run around for you. Are you short on capital? Okay, well, call me when you've got your joint venture partner set up. I don't want to run around while you're waiting for money. That's not happening. Are you short on expertise? No problem. Good news. I've been reading books on this stuff, and I've been watching YouTube videos and listening to this goofball AJ Hazzi talk, so now I know how to do this, so I got the expertise. I can fill in the blanks. You got to make sure you've got whatever they're short, you got to make sure you have it. So time and expertise is really all we offer. We're not offering cash. And then the goal is to become their trusted advisor. When they truly listen to you and when they're willing to take direction from you and you say, yes, this is the deal for you, and they move, now you're their trusted advisor. In this space, it is very difficult to do it without influence, okay? So that's the goal, become their trusted advisor. What is the investor looking for? Come on, baby. As I said, they have a team, okay? They have a lawyer, they have an accountant, they have a financial advisor. You are now part of that dream team. Okay? And your role, hopefully, is to elevate to the point of you're kind of quarterbacking that. Okay? So you're the trusted advisor. You're the person that's really quarterbacking their whole investment strategy. You're the deal finder. You're the bird dog. You're the one that's going to be nose to the street, ear to the street. One of the things that I did well back in 2009 that worked really well was I created a list. It was my top 10 list, and I did it in Matrix. You can do this just make yourself the client, and then anytime you see something that's a hot deal, you put it into your top 10 list, okay? And as they sell, they move out, and you always keep kind of a top 10 investments, and they should span from $300K to $3 million, right? Whatever, it spans the whole gamut, and depending on their price range, there's gonna be one or two options that make any sense for them out of your top 10 list, but it's locked and loaded always. So you're ear to the ground all the time. You're watching the hot sheets every day, you're looking for opportunity, you're analyzing, and you're finding deals. You also have to be a deal architect. So right now, understanding that there's more to doing business with investment property than just price. Some of it will be specific to like an assumable mortgage that you can grab, right? It's hard to make the numbers work on a multifamily investment if you have to go get a new mortgage at 6.5% and you're buying it at a 6 cap rate. It's already negative cash flow. So is there a creative way to do it? Can you get the seller to leave 20% in, no payments on a balloon until the end? Can you get their mortgage assumed for those 2 or 3 years, right? There's different deal points, and that's where becoming a deal architect is really important. Once you get a reputation for being said deal architect, these people know other people, and the referrals start to pour in. So you really, it makes a ton of sense to spend the time to become good and proficient with how to structure the deal stack, how to put the financing stack together, okay? And then they're also looking for somebody who does this themselves. It is very hard to influence somebody in the world of real estate investing if you are not currently real estate investing. If you are not currently in the market we're in buying property, it's very hard to influence someone else to do it. If you're in the mix already, you just bought an investment property and you're renovating it and all that, you speak from experience, you speak from the excitement of it. You're talking about, well, yeah, I've got my tile setter in there right now doing this, and we're really hoping we can get $2,400 a month for it, and all those things. You're speaking from experience, then you can influence people. If it's just, yeah, I helped a client last week, not as influential. Investors want people who are in the game with them. You got to be a great negotiator. They're looking for someone who can find them a deal. They're going to be patient. They're going to want a good deal. You're going to have the chops to be able to negotiate a great deal, whether it's price, whether it's terms, but they're looking for a great negotiator. And you got to be thorough. There's a lot of due diligence involved in real estate investment. You got to be a thorough, due diligence-minded person. And if you're not, hire an assistant that is, but you got to have a due diligence process, okay? Because investors are expecting that of you. They want you to do the due diligence for them to protect their butts. And they need someone that can do thorough analysis for them. And they want to be thought of first, okay? So you have to make every investor feel like they're your only investor. That is the only way to keep them. Otherwise, they get 4 or 5 realtors. That's what they do. They think they need 4 or 5 bird dogs out there. I won't work with anybody that says they're working with multiple realtors, but they have to also feel that reciprocity, right? They have to feel like you're the only investor, or they're the only investor you're serving in that moment. It's super important. Otherwise, if they think that they're going to be last on the list, they'll have 4 or 5 realtors and you're never going to get a deal done. So investment analysis doesn't have to be that complicated. There are some pretty helpful little apps. Go on to the App Store if you're an Apple person and grab Property Evaluator Pro. It's the best app out there. It's been around for like 10 years, maybe more. I used this during the downturn to be able to quantify to people the opportunity long-term as well as a quick picture right now of where it's at. So this, you plug in a few metrics about the home and it will spit out your gross rent multipliers, your cap rates, the cash-on-cash return, your return on investment, all the stuff that you say. And then you can put in assumptions about how fast the market will appreciate, what their mortgage balance is today, and it'll show them their equity over time. Like it's a full pro forma for people. And you can brand it. You can put your mug up there and all your information, and it looks like you guys have been obsessing over the data. All you have to do is plug in some numbers and you get these really, really great reports. So net operating income is something that you have to be able to figure out the math on, okay, if you're going to work with investors. So it's really simple. It's just your rents minus your expenses. That's what your net operating income is. So in this situation, let's say there's 150 grand worth of rent. You work your way down through the expenses. You get a net operating income of 100 grand. Okay, great. What's that mean? Well, how does an investor value that cash flow? That changes from market to market. And why I'm pointing this out to you guys is so you can understand the opportunity. Right now, these investment properties are getting crushed in price because of the interest rates. Because look what happens. The market we just came from was a 4-cap market, meaning there were so many investors chasing those deals that it had pushed cap rates down to 4. The reason why they're willing to do 4 is because investors make a spread on the loaned money they take. So if you could borrow money at 3 and you could buy a building that performs at a 4, that leverage that you have would give you a nice return. So more competition means 4-cap, which pushes the values up. That same 100 grand a year ago was worth 2.5. The average is a 5-cap world. That's where we've been kind of on average for the last sort of 30, 40 years here in Kelowna, but it goes below and above depending on the flavor of the week. But 5's kind of the average. 5's really easy math too, because you can take the net operating income and multiply it by 20 to get a value. So if you understand the net operating income of a building, a quick math in your phone, you can say, okay, it brings in 100 grand times by 20. Oh, it's worth $2 million. If they're asking more than $2 million, they're dreaming. If they're asking less, heck of a deal, right? It's quick math, understanding that relationship between net operating income and the value of the building. The opportunity lies in the fact that right now, because of interest rates, again, investors make a spread, so they will not part with their money unless they can make a spread on what they're borrowing the 75% for, which means they're not buying anything for under a 6-cap. Look at the difference between a value of a 4-cap building versus a 6-cap. It's almost $1 million. Do we think interest rates are going to stay high forever? Who here thinks interest rates stay high forever? Okay. So when they don't, because that's a foregone conclusion, what happens to the value? We go back into a 5-cap environment almost overnight with a little relaxation of the interest rates, and then lo and behold, we get there eventually when the market gets frothy. The other thing to understand about this, to get investors excited, is for every dollar that you save over here, okay? So let's just say you were really good at negotiating, and you could go and negotiate as an investor a better contract for snow removal, a better contract for property management. You got it down from $15,000 a year, let's say, to $10,000, because you got them to agree to 7%, okay? Because you're a good negotiator. Well, that $5,000 you saved landing on the net operating income, where my math whiz is at, what happens if you add $5,000 to the net operating income? What happens to the value? Who knows the number? What did it just change? How much did it change the value of the property? All right, I won't leave you in suspense too long. 100 grand times the 5 grand by the 20, because that's how many times 5 goes into 100%, right? So you times the change in the net operating income by 20, you have 100 grand. This is where the opportunity is. If you can increase rents, same thing applies. If you can decrease expenses, same thing applies. If the interest rates back off, which they will, same thing applies, okay? It's a huge, huge opportunity in multifamily right now, but a multifamily investor isn't gonna deal with someone who doesn't understand this stuff. So you gotta level up. All right, so just a little chat about interest rates. This is kind of an 80-year look at interest rates, just to give you some comfort. Currently not actually all that bad if you look at it. During the last big crash, we got up to 6%. And what did they do when the whole world realized that it was in a bad way? What did the Fed do? What did all the banks do? They plummeted rates down to 3% to try to stimulate things, okay? Now they've been doing this to try to cool it off, okay? That was the whole purpose of it. Well, mission accomplished. It's cool. It's fucking chilly. So what do you think they're gonna do, right? This is coming down through here. I call this the WF housing crash. That's the World Economic Forum housing crash. That's all I'm saying on the matter. This is the last one was a housing crash. This is a global thing. All right, back to skills. Right now, getting listings sold is an art and a science. You gotta level up your skills when it comes to copywriting. You gotta level up your skills when it comes to video. On the copywriting side, you can't just get away with a couple shitty words of copy. You gotta think, what's the headline? What's the hook? What's the first line of copy after the hook that is gonna support that hook and get people to keep reading? What are the benefits of the features that are in this home or in this property? What are the benefits? Nobody cares about features. Don't feature dump. Speak in terms of benefits. This is what copywriting is all about. So you need a great hook. You need supportive copy to keep people reading. You need benefits, and then you need a call to action. If you can create some sort of urgency or some sort of scarcity, great. Don't bullshit. Don't talk about like won't last. That's been done to death. But if there is some reason to create some scarcity, if there's real urgency, put it in there. Urgency sells. It does. It works. But just like negotiating, if you tell people it's your best and final and you're full of shit, no one believes you again after that. So don't use things like, this property won't last, or this is, priced well below market if it's not. Going back here. On the video side, short form video is key. Like I'm terrible for everything I do is long form. I put out these 20-minute videos. I'm having to get good at slicing and dicing them down into 30 and 60-second bits. That's all people care about. We used to do these really nice videos for our properties that, they're 6 and 7 minutes long. Well, nobody's watching those anymore. They want 30, 60-second content. So what do? You gotta find a way to create compelling content about your real estate in 30 to 60 seconds. That's the attention span that you have for people. Otherwise, they're gonna keep scrolling. So we've had to make that adjustment in the last little while. And I don't profess to have it all figured out, but that's the skill that we need to adapt to now is short form video content. So you gotta get comfortable on camera. You gotta get comfortable using the app. You gotta get comfortable with a little bit of editing and trying to add some flavor to it. Figure out how to use those fancy captions, right? The big sexy captions. Figure out how to do that stuff, because that's the only way you're gonna get any eyeballs on your video content, and you need eyeballs on your listings in order to sell them now. So you gotta level that up. You gotta learn all the different omni-channel marketing. You gotta become good at mass texting. You gotta become good at mass email. You've gotta become good at BombBomb. You've gotta become good at making sure your Google My Business account's dialed and you're putting out good content on YouTube. Like you have to be everywhere in order to attract business, because there's less people doing business now. You need to way widen your footprint in order to bring people in the front door. So omni-channel marketing, like if there's anything that you're weak at, if you don't know how to send mass text, you don't know the software that's required, level up. Now's the time. You've got the time. Creative finance and deal structure, super key. You got to learn. I'm going to go like a little deeper into the creative stuff here after the break, but that is a huge skill, knowing how to work around financing challenges, because the banks are not playing ball right now. They're not playing nice. So we have to figure out a way to get around that, to keep things moving, okay? So creative deal finance and deal structuring is super key. Negotiating is the most referable skill that we have, bar none, okay? And you're gonna get a chance to use it now. The market we just came from, you didn't get a chance to flex on your negotiating ability. All you could do was write a really nice letter or put a nice video or hope, to create enough warm fuzzies that they picked us. Now you get to negotiate, and it is going to be the thing that will save your ass if you can do this well. So let's talk about some of the keys. What it is not, and I had this slide up last year. In fact, we have this slide in our buyer's presentation just to contrast us against everybody else. This is what people are doing still, and it drives me freaking bananas. They're texting that they've sent an offer. Even in this market, that's what they're doing. They're sending an offer through saying, hey, did you get my offer? Like, that's it? That's your negotiating? No, that's not gonna fly anymore. So we're not gonna stop doing this, okay? So what are the keys to good negotiating? Number one, gather information early. What do I mean by that? Gather the information before you've told them you have an offer coming. You are not getting any information when you say, hey, I've got an offer for you. Hey, tell me a little bit about your folks. What are they thinking about doing? Shut up, send the offer, right? That's what's gonna happen. So you gotta be inquisitive in advance of that. You gotta ask the right questions. Why are they moving? What's important to them other than money? Do they need certain dates, right? How much money did they spend on the house since they bought it last? That'd be nice to know. These are the types of things that you wanna understand. Do you happen to know if they have an assumable mortgage by chance? Do you know what their mortgage balance might be? What rate is it at? Maybe there's a potential way of them getting a little more for the house and your client's getting a better payment if you can assume their mortgage. Ask the questions in advance. If you don't ask the questions, you lose the opportunity to learn where the bargaining chips are, and you lose all your leverage in the negotiation. You got to present your offers in person. That's it. Unfortunately, we can't hide behind technology. We cannot do the DocuSign, email, text routine anymore. Okay, we got to go back to basics. There's a handful of people in this office, or in this room, I should say, that are old like me who had to do carbon copy contracts, right? Tear the edges off, sign here, press hard, bottom copy's yours. We did that out of necessity because we didn't have any technology, but you know what? When you're kneecap to kneecap with people, you have the opportunity to read their body language, you have the opportunity to build a relationship with them, you have an opportunity to influence. You can't do that over text, you can't do that over email, okay? So we gotta go back to basics, which means we have to cooperate with one another, okay? When someone says, hey, I'd like to present an offer, don't be a dick and say, send it by email. Yeah, great, where do you wanna do it? How's my office? Be accommodating. The flip side of that is when you present an offer, make the other realtor look good. Work collaboratively with that person. Open the conversation with saying, hey, your agent's done a great job so far of getting us to this point. Showcase a lot of the great features of your home, and has actually done a lot of the heavy lifting in this negotiation in advance, right? Okay, everybody's cool now. We're not here to browbeat anybody. We're not lawyers, okay? That's not what we do. We've got to play nice in the sandbox. That's why we're all here together. Form some relationships, and when we want to present and negotiate offers, let's do it collaboratively. Okay, we're not giving away each other's bottom lines, but hey, we're all in the business. The buyer wants to buy, the seller wants to sell. We would like to have food with our meals. Let's do this collaboratively, okay? That's key. When negotiating, especially right now, there's a lot of people who are lowballers. And these lowballs come in, and they're usually round numbers, and there's really no supportive case for where they're coming from. It just looks like they're throwing shit against the wall, okay? Well, that is, you get a counter offer based on that. So if you throw shit against the wall, most people, we're good, right? So you gotta be able to provide a logical case, a logical argument. There's multiple ways to do that. You can use the HPI tools, you can use CMAs, you can use one specific comp, we call it the one that got away. There's lots of ways to do it, but you have to be able to substantiate your claim for why you think the seller should entertain this offer you're putting in front. A good negotiator doesn't insult. A good negotiator comes with a reasonable opening position that they can back up, okay? That's the only way you're gonna get a great deal in this market is if you can substantiate it. People are emotional and they really wanna tell you to F off. So if you show up with some things to substantiate where you're coming from, it's going to save you a lot of heartache. And then not only do you need to be reasonable, but use the word reasonable. Canadian culture suggests that if you say things are reasonable, other people will fight very hard to not be unreasonable. So that's really key language, is a little bit of NLP, but if you say, hey, I think we're being quite reasonable with this, or I don't think we're being unreasonable with our offer, that's going to go a long way to help you in those face-to-face negotiations. But you actually have to be reasonable. And don't bullshit. If you tell somebody this is all there is, and then they counter you and then you negotiate some more, well then, when it is all there is, they're not going to believe you, right? Because they've already called that bluff, right? So you can't be a bluffer. You got to leave yourself, you can posture, but you got to stop short of saying this is a one-shot deal, take it or leave it, if it's not. If it is, fair enough, fire away. But if it's not, don't say it. Your word is all you got. In negotiations amongst our peers, if people believe you when you say what you say, it makes things so much easier when they're like, okay, yeah, here comes another line from the bullshit artist, right? Totally different. Learn this one the hard way. And I love this one. Never let a deal die in your court. This is kind of like one of our adages at Vantage. A deal will die sometimes. Somebody says, okay, we're not willing to go any further. And it's just verbal. We just verbalize that and, oh, okay, I guess we wasted all of our time and we'll slump away, go wherever we go. Well, why not just take that extra minute to fire back the counteroffer? If it truly is all there is and you can't get any more, kick it back to them the way it was when you kicked it back to them the last time and give them one more look at it. I can't tell you how many times we've had deals done the second go around when people had a second look in writing. First of all, it communicates, hey, I wasn't full of shit when I told you we were done. And now they have the offer back in front of them. And they have a choice to make. If they send it to you and you just say, well, yeah, no, I guess the deal's done. Well, then I guess the deal's done, right? So make a habit of never letting a deal die in your court. You'll do 20% more, get 20% more deals across the goal line for making that habit.
Give them some time too.
Yes, yeah, totally. That's a really good tactic, actually. Send it back to them and say, hey, we gave you a couple days to think about it. You know, take the weekend, think about it. This truly is all there is, but you know, I think in this market we're being really reasonable. So take the weekend, think about it. Here's our final offer. Okay? All right. Sales is the transfer of enthusiasm, okay? If you're not enthusiastic about what you're doing, it is impossible to transfer anything to somebody. I know this to be the case because we have a stable full of very capable, very well-trained salespeople at Vantage, and sometimes they go into slumps. And so initially, as a leader, my first thought was, what training do they need? What skills do they not have right now that's forcing them into this slump? Over time, what I realized is it's not anything to do with their skills. They're very skilled. It's their enthusiasm that has waned, okay? If you aren't fired up about the thing you're doing, if you don't think your service is valuable, or if you've got caught up in the media too much and you think buying a house right now is a terrible idea, it is going to be impossible to be an effective salesperson. It is impossible to be able to influence anyone other than the opposite. You'll influence them to do the opposite of doing business because they will feel through you, through your energy, through the words that you use, how you really feel. So you have to find some things. I'm not talking about being disingenuous. You have to find some things in this market that you're actually enthusiastic about, things that you can get behind. For many people, now is not a great time to buy, for many, in this moment. It might be 6 months from now, but for many people it's not. But for many people it is. It's not a blanket statement. So who are those people where it makes sense? And when you understand that, then you can get very enthusiastic about that and you can go looking for those people. Because if you don't know what you're looking for, you know what? You won't find it. But if you know specifically whom you're looking to serve and you're excited about the opportunity for them, then that transfer enthusiasm comes through. So let's talk about an example. This year is going to be the year of a move-up buyer, okay? Does everybody know what I mean by that? That's somebody that's going from maybe a condo or a townhouse up into a single-family home. Why? What's the advantage of that? Shout it out. Totally. I mean, even if things were equal, which they're not, right? Let's just say you have a $750,000 condo, right? Market goes down by, let's say it's 20%, okay? These guys are upside down. Sorry for you guys that can't see. There's nowhere to put this where everybody can see. So these guys are down 150K. Sorry, 750. Okay? Simple math. Now let's say that they still, even despite having lost some equity there, still had the appetite and financial capability to go up to a $1.2 million house, right? That $1.2 million house had the same 20% hit, which we know it actually is considerably different in terms of how much these different property types got beat up. But even if it's the same, this one's down 240,000. So that difference, that 90K in that difference, would be the move-up buyer's gain when things recover, right? So that's an arbitrage play that makes it a good financial decision for somebody right now to bite off more than they can chew. Will their uncle tell them that that's a good idea? No. No. Will their broke friends tell them it's a good idea? No. The sales prevention team will be there to prevent that. So you have to be enthusiastic about this and be able to, you have to be enthusiastic about this, okay? You have to know your numbers. What's even cooler about this, why I say 2023 is the year, is that statistically that townhome for 750 is only down 8%, okay? And the hardest hit segment of the market is in that $1 million to $1.5 million. That's getting hit the hardest because they're the most subject to the interest rates. People that are north of that are somewhat impervious to it, and people that are, well, there really weren't any houses below that. So that's where like that sort of entry level or even like mid-level property is getting beat up way worse than the townhomes and the condos, okay? People in condos and townhomes have enjoyed less depreciation for the fact that because of affordability challenges, people have been compressed into the cheaper stuff. Not because they wanted to be in a two-bedroom condo, but that now that the affordability equation has changed because interest rates are up, now that's all they afford. So that put more heat on that type of property. So for somebody that was willing right now to let go of a $750,000 townhome, they probably get $700 for it, even if it was worth $750 at the peak. Look on Matrix right now at what's happening in the 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 stuff, right? If you look on Matrix from the average seller on a single family, what their expectations were versus what it sold for, this was crazy. 1.199 was what the average single family home got listed for, and when you follow that all the way to a sale, it sold for $925. This is massive, massive change, okay? That isn't happening in the townhomes and condos. So could you get excited about that? If you had a client that you sold a townhome to 4 years ago, right? Or someone you just met that had bought a townhome 4 years ago, could you get excited about the opportunity that exists in a move-up world? Yeah, you could transfer that enthusiasm to them because it's a good idea for them. Now, if they're a first-time buyer and they're stretching everything and they're gonna, maybe that's not a good time for them. And you have to be comfortable telling people, hey, I think you should pump the brakes. And when you do that, they refer their friends and family to you. If you're working with an investor, this is a strategy that works really, really well. We call it the BRRRR strategy, okay? Buy at a distressed price, well below market value, add value to it by renovating it, stabilize it, bring in rents. The rental market's still very solid. Refinance it, get all your cash back. If you understand this, if you have a client that is able to finance one house and buy a house that they can go in, they can pull the trigger quick. It's helpful if they're cash buyers. They can pull the trigger quick and get a great deal. You can recycle that same client every 6 months as they go through this. This is what this stabilization process takes about 6 months to do. Go in, renovate, refinance, and you can have one client do multiple deals with you every year. This is a great strategy that if you're doing it yourself, which I highly recommend you do, you can get excited about. You can transfer that conviction to your clients. Should you sell first or should you buy first right now? What's the advice? Right. Because in a market where we're trying not to catch the falling knife, it makes the most sense to sell while your house is worth conceivably the most it's going to be worth for the foreseeable future. And then as time goes on, whether it's 30, 60, 90 days before you have to redeploy, what's happened to the properties that you're looking at? They've gotten a little bit cheaper. As of right now, things are coming down by about 3% a month. That's what they've been doing. So even a 1 month delay on $1 million house serves them 30 grand. The other thing, and this is where leadership and conviction comes into play, if you allow people to do it backwards, because you are not leading the process, you're just order taking, many people are still doing this backwards because we know this because we're getting offers subject to the sale of. Okay? That is the wrong move right now. The right move is to sell your house at whatever you can get for it, okay? So you're not in a compromised negotiating position. And then when you go and buy, rather than sending us an offer subject to the sale of where you've got one hand tied behind your back and we're not really even taking you seriously, for sure you're paying $10 or $20 or $30,000 more for that house if we accept it with that condition. So you've already burned tens of thousands of dollars on the front end. Now we've given you 30 days to get it done. So you have a gun to your head. For 30 days, you have a weaker negotiating position. I can tell you almost unequivocally you are going to take $10,000 to $30,000 less for that house on the other side. So you combine those two things together, that client has just burned anywhere from $20,000 to $60,000. Just throwing numbers around, but I think those are light. So get them to sell first. That's the right advice. You know this to be true in your gut because you know the math. You can transfer that conviction. Sales is a transfer of conviction. It's a transfer of enthusiasm. When you know that to be true, then you can influence people. So know that in your gut. Stop letting people do the wrong thing. Stop letting them go shopping first and sell second. Unless they have some weird set of circumstances, like what they need is so unique. Fair enough, there's exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, sell first, buy second, much better financial transaction. So if that's the case, then how the heck do we get listings sold? Right? Okay, great, I got a listing now. Crickets, no one's calling. So how do we get them sold? 3 things have to come together, okay? We need the promotion, has to be tight. That's your copywriting, your video, your omni-channel marketing, right? Your promotional budget on listings will be your lead generation budget going forward. The product has to be tight. So we have an in-house stager that we send out for the fact that you can't sell a dog anymore. People are looking for stuff that's done or tightened up to the best it can be. And if it is a dog, it's gonna have to be a heck of a deal, right? So we're consultants, we're trying to get people the best outcome. We gotta consult them on how they can make their house better. So going back to the skill of radical candor, you gotta be able to tell people what they need to know. You gotta be able to tell them the hard lessons. Hey, I know that your color, the orange you painted on that, I get it, I get your personality, it totally suits you, but we gotta make this widely appealing, okay? We gotta make it appealing to the masses. It has to be a blank canvas for them. What do you think? We bring in a contractor, I know a painter, can we get this down to a mute gray or a beige or something? Can we do that? You gotta be willing to tell the truth. You gotta get the product in the right condition, okay? And lastly, and most importantly, you gotta price the thing right, okay? If you don't have the promotion, the product, and the price all working collectively together, the house is not selling. So let's keep doing. The must-do, get the home detailed for resale. That's the consult portion. Get the place as tight as it can be. Make the investment in good photos. Shitty photos isn't gonna cut it anymore. I know most people in this room are using professional photographers and Matterport, that's old hat now. But make the investment in the video, make the investment in all the little marketing assets that you need, because you're gonna need a lot of reach to get your listing sold, and so make the investment. And when you do this right, this is your lead generation budget, because guess what? Other people see you doing this and they wanna list their house with somebody who's spending money. Everyone else is playing it small, play it big. Go the opposite. Everyone's going north, go south. If you spend money on your listings right now, you will attract other people who are desperate to sell their home, right? Logical. If you're spending money on your listings right now and you're promoting them, you're gonna have whatever buyers are out there, you're gonna get them, right? So it's a good investment. Spend the money on the listings, you won't get hurt. Thoughtful copywriting, we talked about this already. Omni-channel marketing, super key. Paid promotion. Market we just came from, you could get by not boosting your posts, you could get by just putting it on the MLS, putting in some free stuff. No, now you gotta pay to play. You gotta pay for eyeballs on Facebook, you gotta pay for eyeballs on Google, you just gotta be willing to do it. I'm not suggesting that you're gonna spend thousands upon thousands, but 10% of whatever your commission is gonna be is a fair number to spend. If you're gonna make 15 grand, spend 1,500 bucks promoting this thing. You gotta do it. It's also your lead generation budget. That's how you're gonna get listings, that's how you're gonna get buyers. We have some pricing guidelines, because I think the one thing I see right now is people need the most help is on getting places priced correctly, okay? So first thing you wanna do is find the most relevant comp. Now remember, what happened in the past, really, it only informs the future, but it doesn't mean just because somebody got $1 million for something that 2 months later they can still get $1 million. It's falling by 3% a month, okay? So you have to factor that in. But you wanna be, relative to how much time has gone by, still 2% lower than that closest comp. Because buyers right now are looking for the best value. They are not all gonna flock to you because you're the only house on the street that's listed. That's over. Now, the few buyers have many choices and they are going to only feel comfortable to move forward unless they feel like they have isolated the very best value. You wanna be the one they select, and you wanna be the one they select quickly. So you gotta be slightly below comps. You can't allow your sellers to dream any longer. It costs them too much money. That's the radical candor, and you gotta know that in your gut so you can transfer that with enthusiasm. You should be following a predetermined price reduction schedule. I think 14 days is as long as a property needs to see the light of day before it has a new price. You need to reprice the home so long as it takes to meet the market. Time is not your friend. In a market where things are dropping by 3% a month, it does not make sense. The idea of we will hold out for a better offer, that's not a thing, okay? While you're holding out, your property is going down by 30K a month. So you have to follow a predetermined price reduction strategy. This is gonna get your houses sold. And those price reductions, it's not okay to go from $999 to $989. They gotta be real drops. Minimum 3%, I recommend 5% drops. Stop pissing around with these $10,000 drops, it doesn't cut it anymore. It's not just about getting back on the hot sheets. You need to have access to a new level of clients. Also on the note of pricing, stop using nines. If you go $499 on your property, that made it work when people were looking in the newspaper. It doesn't make sense now. People search by way of parameter. There are people who are searching from $5 to $550 for a good home. Would you not want to be the best price thing that they see? If you're $499.9, you are invisible to that person. So great, you got the $400 to $500 crowd, but you've missed the $500 to $550 crowd. Why would you want to be invisible to them? Stop using nines in your pricing. You double the amount of people that are looking at your stuff. And your price reductions, the purpose of them is to get into a new bracket, okay? If I'm listed at $500,000 and I'm not getting any sniffs, I am going to $450 because nothing's gonna change at $480. There isn't a new level of buyer waiting for me at $480. You've got to get to that new price bracket, okay? So you need real sizable drops. And you got to make your listing stand out, okay? As I said before, we're going into a place where 2 out of 3 listings will not sell. We're already seeing it. It's going to get worse before it gets better. So you got to make them stand out, okay? So 5 great options to make your house stand out. If they have an assumable mortgage, ask this early on. Hey, what mortgage do you have? Do you need to port this, or can we use it as an asset here? Can we make your property stand out from the crowd by saying, hey, we got 2 years left on a 2.4 fixed at 70% loan to value? That's a great asset. There's a lot of people who are rate sensitive right now who will select this home over the others because of that. A rate buy down. Probably no one's ever heard of this. You can actually offer a rate buy down. You can do the math in a mortgage calculator. It's pretty easy. If people are sensitive to rates, and at 6%, their payment's gonna be $3,800 a month, but at 4%, their payment was gonna be $2,700 a month, well, at $1,100, whatever it is a month difference, you say, okay, we'll do a 2-year rate buy down. It's $25K. Great, we'll buy your rate down. Out of the proceeds of the sale, we will prepay $25,000 of your interest to give you an effective rate of 4%. It's a strategy. Be open to trades. We're gonna talk about trading after the break. This was like one of the biggest things that saved our bacon, and it prints double ends. It's the best, okay? So start as a group. Let's all start marking trades. Yes, they don't even need to be willing to take a trade. You just need to know what they're doing next, and you can now start to have these conversations in the background. You don't even have to get their heads totally around the idea of taking something on trade. If you know that they have a house and they're planning to downsize to a condo, all you have to do is go into Matrix, put trades yes, and then what do they want? Trade description, condo up to $500,000. That's it. Great. And if somebody calls you because they came to this event and now they understand how trades work, and they say, hey, I see you got a house there for $1 million, and you're looking for a condo of $500,000. I actually have a client right now with a condo that's looking to go to a house. Should we have this conversation? Yeah, have your folks come look at my place, right? You can put deals together this way. And have the properties pre-inspected and pre-appraised. Buyers are very scared. They're very apprehensive about making a mistake right now. If you can de-risk the property in some way by saying, we've had the home inspected, these items have been taken care of, we've had the home appraised, up to date, we know we're priced appropriately, we've priced it below that appraisal, right? You've de-risked the property. That'll make it stand out. These are some really, really good ways to separate yourself from the others. And seller financing. You have to be loud and proud about that. If you can convince a seller to leave some money in the deal, They already know the asset. If they don't need all the cash, we're going to talk about seller financing a little bit on what the advantages of it is after the break. But you can get people's payments way down by getting them to the longer amortization, and you can make your property stand out by offering to say, hey, we'll leave 20% or we'll leave 15% in the deal at a low rate, 4% interest carried over 2 years, whatever, right? We'll talk more about that after the break. What's that?
Are you allowed to advertise that?
You're allowed to advertise that it's seller financing available. That's fine. You don't have to get into the specificity of the numbers because that's all part of a negotiation anyway. So right now, the worst thing you can do, right, is let people know we're catching a falling knife. If you're doing these little chicken shit price corrections right now and you're staying just a little bit above the market, you're going to be following this thing down forever until it troughs. So you have to be able to convey this to people, and you have to be able to get them to do the courageous thing and get down here right away out of the gate, okay? Because the other thing that happens is over time, and this is part from our listing presentation, feel free to put it in yours and take a screenshot of it. When you can show people that actually, and this is quantifiable, if you look at the listings that sell within 30 days, they typically sell for 99%. You go down to month 4, they typically sell for 96%. So if you go 90 days plus on the market, you're guaranteed you're going to get less in the negotiation because the buyers come with a preconceived idea that the home is overpriced. If nobody else wants it, I obviously have to beat this price up to make it a deal. Within 30 days, your negotiating position is better. Their negotiating position is getting worse by 1% a month. Statistical fact. So getting them to get serious initially is the answer. Then they can prevent that additional 3% pill at the end. All right. I'm going to put us off to a break right now because I think I went a little bit over time. We're supposed to have a safe word if I was being verbose. It's all good. So hey, let's do this. Let's take a quick 10-minute bio break, check your phones, and then we're going to come back. We're going to talk about customer retention. All right, I'm going to try to get my volume going a little bit better. Apparently, I'm going to try and stay out of this light. How come none of you bastards told me I was in the light? You just go this way. What is it doing over there? So I'm going to work this side of the stage a little bit more, stay out of the light, and I try and project a little bit so you guys don't fall asleep on me. I know it's almost lunchtime. Okay? We're going to roll for another hour and a bit, and then you're going to take somebody random to lunch. So I want to start the next part of this about customer retention. Okay? This is so key because, as I said before, we don't have as much coming in the front door, so you gotta close the back door. You can't let any of your clients get scooped up by other people, okay? Everybody knows 100 realtors, okay? I don't care how special you think you are. Their kids play hockey, they play soccer, whatever, with other realtors. Just because you sold them a house 3 years ago does not entitle you to their business going forward. You have to build a fence around them, a hedge, if you will, okay? So one of the things that we've started implementing now is this idea of this trifecta, okay? And so the purpose of every client is no longer just to get a sale, but you actually have 3 missions with every client, okay? So the trifecta is the client wins, meaning they make a great real estate deal. Whether they're selling or buying, the client has a win. They're very excited. Then, during the course of time that they're working with you, they provide you with a referral. The reason why it's important that you get people to refer you and you set that expectation in the beginning, that you say, I'll know I've done a great job when A, you've accomplished X, Y, Z, because you know what they want to do, but I've done such a great job that you feel compelled to tell the world, which means right now, because you're in the real estate market today, you're going to be having more real estate conversations than at any other time. So I'll know I'm doing a great job when you introduce me to people of comparable quality to yourself. Okay? So you want to have those types of dialogues with people. You want to be talking to people. Thanks for that. You want to be talking to people about that positive expectation that they're going to duplicate themselves while you're going through this. And then the cherry on top at the end is that they're going to give you the 5-star review. You need the review, whether that's on Rate My Agent, whether that's on Google My Business, or whether that's on Yelp, wherever they are, wherever they're comfortable, or all 3. Get those reviews. Those have been a game changer for our business. And you really want to make sure that you're picking up reviews all the time because Google rewards people who are relevant. Just because you got 100 reviews 2 years ago doesn't mean Google's going to put you to the top. You got to be constantly bringing in those new reviews. And so even though you may not be able to catch us or catch the guy that's in the 2 or 3 spot, you can be more relevant. You can have more reviews rolling in, and you can earn those spots on page 1. So that's the trifecta. This should be your mission every time you take on a new client, You want to have all three. You want to measure this, track this. Am I getting a review and a referral, and is my client winning, right? This becomes part of your flywheel, okay? I taught this in the last year's event, which is this idea where marketing brings in new opportunities. So all your different marketing funnels, they bring this opportunity to you. That is the opportunity to perform, to bring them through a proven system for winning, bring them through a proven system to get a 5-star experience. And when you've done that, they become advocates for you. They become walking, talking billboards for you. They feel compelled to tell the world. They introduce you to people that they know. They tell the world on Google. This is your advocacy program, and you need to facilitate this whole thing, and then that feeds more new opportunity into the top, and around it goes. That's the flywheel. You have to be really mindful of this flywheel effect, because you can really get some momentum and really grow your business quickly when you're intentionally having each of your clients duplicate themselves. It is much harder to find a client now, therefore it is much more important to have them duplicate themselves. And there's no greater opportunity to have them duplicate themselves than while they are doing it, right? It's just like when you're shopping for a car, you see that car everywhere. When you're shopping for a home, you're having real estate conversations with everybody. Set the expectations early on that, hey, my job is to put my head down for you and just like go hard to try to help you win. But how my business works is if I do a great job, hopefully you'll be telling other people. And they always say yes. You say, great. So I'm gonna put my head down and I'll count on you for that introduction. Fair? Yep, shake on it, right? That's what we do. We call it a promise script. We explain our brand promise. We explain all the things that we're gonna do to get out ahead of everything. And then we're gonna say all we expect in return is that you're going to send people our way, okay? That script makes millions. The purpose of a business, okay, is to create customers who create customers, okay? So you've got to have a client appreciation program or a client experience process. You've got to make it wow. You've got to inject little moments of magic into the process intentionally. It's not disingenuous to have like scheduled romance, right? Like put date night in the schedule. It's every Tuesday in the Hazzi house is date night. Okay, that's the deal. Is it spontaneous? No. But is it better than the alternative of only doing it every once in a blue moon? Hell of a lot better. Same thing with your clients. Yeah, great. So you do the same thing every time. You send them a box of chocolates or champagne at subject removal. Okay, it's not as spontaneous, it's not as custom and personal, but it's sure as shit a lot better than not acknowledging that moment 70% of the time. Okay, so weave in these moments of magic in a systematic way so that your customers feel the love and they feel compelled to pay it forward and tell their friends. The purpose, as I said before, is to build this hedge around your clients, okay? And so a lot of what we're gonna talk about, I'm gonna bring my brother on stage. He's like the master of BombBomb. I was never that good with it. He's really taken a hold of BombBomb, so he's gonna talk a little bit about that. And then we're gonna bring Adam on, how he's really systemized doing it by way of text. So you guys are gonna hear some really cool little systems that you can use to build this hedge around your clients, because it's so important. It's more important than any whiz-bang, pay-per-click, website, IDX crap. This is the shit that is gonna make you money going forward. I'm gonna bring up Adam. He's flown in from Toronto. He has been like our golden goose for the last little while. We're just integrating this into the team. There's probably nothing I'm more excited about that we've got going on than introducing or integrating this into our world. The reason why I'm willing to share it with you guys is we all have different databases. So it's okay, we're not really competing. You have people that are past clients, I'm not coming for them. I just wanna make sure my past clients are feeling the love, okay? And so this is all about, like I say, building that fence around them, but doing it in a systematic way. I have thousands of people in the database. There's no way for me to be intentional with that, or with that many people without having a system. You don't need thousands though. I mean, even to manage this ongoing, you need to have a system that allows you to do it and will scale with you. And what we've put in place, he's gonna show you how we did it. I'm actually gonna show you specific messages that we're sending, everything. Full opening of the kimono, you're gonna see what we're doing. You can implement that, take screenshots, all of that. No sales pitch here whatsoever. I just told Adam, come and just show them how we do it. Open the blueprint, show them exactly what we're doing, how we've built out 10 years of campaigns for all of our clients. You can totally DIY this stuff. I don't even know, honestly, if Adam has room to take that many people. He could probably take a couple people on. That's not why he's here. He's here just to show you what we're doing. And if you want to talk to Adam afterwards, obviously, he's here. But without further ado, please welcome Mr. Adam Estrella to the stage.
Hey guys, how's it going, guys? Looking super tanned. So
It's the down button.
so that's always good.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, no problem, guys. So AJ asked me to come up, fly down from Toronto, guys, to speak with you guys. I'm here to give you guys a playbook. So just give you guys exactly kind of the top of mind touch points we've been doing with a lot of our clients, what we've been doing with AJ and Nick and the rest of the team. So just so you guys know I know what I'm talking about. Almost 4 years working with just residential realtors on their database and top of mind follow-up systems. We're working with over 40 teams, 100 realtors in total. I've worked with databases from 14,000 contacts all the way down to 80. And our teams are averaging an additional almost 100K a year with the database, about 150 clients. So that could show you guys, if you're not keeping top of mind with your past clients, if it's something you're ignoring, it could show you how much money you might be missing out on with people. And so why do you want to care about staying top of mind, right? So I look at it two ways. AJ agrees with me on this, guys. It's a retention mechanism, obviously making sure teams don't go to other realtors and your clients aren't going to other realtors. And it's also inbound referrals, obviously, and people listing faster with you, right? When you stay top of mind with people, they'll reach out to you. So, I know a lot of teams are doing the call their database thing. What we're finding is the more you're staying top of mind people in like a natural way, they'll actually call you. And so I'm going to give you guys a quick, just kind of playbook here. And I really encourage, if you're not, implementing a lot of these in your business right now, to take some of this information and at least try to implement some of it. But one of the first things is getting intentional about your monthly touch points, guys, right? So a lot of the touch points you're going to be doing, you want to make sure that they're not super salesy. We're talking holiday touch points, birthdays, home anniversaries. We're giving people value, and not constantly mentioning the market, right? I do have some teams, they'll come on board and they kind of want to throw in the, by the way, if you know anybody, don't do that. If it's going to be a holiday, just keep it to wishing you a wonderful Thanksgiving, right? So you want to plan out your touch points. Like many of you may have like your social media calendar, plan it out like a touch point on a touch point calendar. I use whimsical.com. It's a way to kind of visually, you can kind of set it up like a whiteboard. And so it's really good for just planning out your touches there. And then one thing that you guys probably all dread doing, nobody likes doing this, the databases, we've seen the worst databases, but it's segmenting those contact lists, right, guys? So I know you don't want to do this. Super important, though, when you actually take the time to rate all your contacts and put people into A+ clients, A clients, B clients, C clients, then you can appropriately kind of break it down how you're going to touch them, right? Your C clients, the colder clients, you want to go to them and kind of be, hey, Sandra, I know it's been a while. My fault for not reaching out sooner. That's one of the scripts we kind of like to use. Every team has their own flavor, but a good, just so you guys know, like if it's somebody who's been a while and you're afraid of reaching out to them, I've had people, even AJ, some of his clients, 15 years, right? Some of your people. And just take the blame, okay? That's the best way we found to do it. So, hey, Sandra, I know it's been a while. My fault for not reaching out sooner. People will use like the hand on face emoji. You can make it funny. But just take the blame and you can move forward from that. We've had people getting deals from 17 years and not talking to people. So this is kind of a format we like to put the contact list in. But you want to take your CSV, have your admin, have somebody put it in a format like this where you can see, okay, where am I missing phone numbers? Where am I missing birthdays, home anniversaries, addresses, different pieces of information there. And a lot of people, they don't think you can export your phone, right? So you have your database contacts. You want to export your phone as well, cross-reference those numbers with the people from your database. Like in AJ's case, and I know even Nick's too, like they captured an extra 20, 30 clients, weren't even in Follow Up Boss, right? So you want to export your phone as well if you can. And then, of course, rate your contacts. Quick little tip, guys. You can gather clients and you can gather lists. So let's say you guys have run like a pumpkin giveaway and there's 100 people. That's probably your A+ clients. You already have some of these ratings done. So you can kind of take that and sub-segment that. Another thing is we stopped doing email about a year ago. Completely stopped. Only doing text message. It's absolutely crushing right now. The key with texting, guys, you want to keep it personal. Okay, so you want to put emojis in. I have teams put photos of them and their family in. Like you want to keep it personal. You do not want to mention the market. Don't mention real estate. Just keep it personal. And that's where you're gonna have success with text. Like we're seeing 75% reply rates right now on text. So if you're getting a 10% open rate on email, you're gonna see like a 75% reply rate. Here's some examples. Not everybody does pictures. People have done GIFs. People do bombs. Nick likes his bombs, right? But the important thing is, what we've seen, and here's actually a couple examples of when AJ sent out a message, this is literally him talking to clients, right? But if you notice, here's what went up to the past couple of years, any big plans for your summer? He didn't say, how's the market, things like that. Your
It was
clients,
a picture of me and my kid, just to be fair, though. above
I know,
that.
I know. There's a picture of him and his kid. I didn't want to put it in.
Yeah, no, it's
super
cool.
cute though.
Yeah.
Super cute. But yeah, like if you guys notice, and a lot of teams they want to kind of get salesy. They want to throw it in there. Don't throw it in there. You're going to have, let's say you send out 200 texts. 150 of them are going to come back with, yeah, no, things have been great. I've been great. The other 50 are going to ask you questions about the market. So once they start to open up, then you can do your thing, and you'll see here a couple different, ways how, AJ himself and even Nick there in the middle. You can see like, I'm just hopping on a Zoom, like they're just chatting, and then, we're looking for a rental condo and a property. Now, what's interesting is you'll sometimes see this, right? You see 8-4, sure, that works. Nick didn't say anything, boom, they came back 6 days later and reached out to him, right? So another thing is birthday messaging. You're probably doing maybe some Facebook messaging. The problem with the Facebook messaging is 50 other people are messaging them happy birthday on Facebook. When you do it directly to people through text, it's obviously more personal. We like to do it where you throw in a GIF, you put in their name. I even have some teams that get super granular and throw in like what their favorite Starbucks is, right? So they'll actually sit down on a Sunday, write in, I hope you enjoy your triple mocha latte, or I know you'll have a little hike going on, right? So they'll throw that in, and those happen automatically. But if you don't have a system to do it automated, at least make the birthday messaging intentional. Here's AJ's, okay? So he's got his little GIF, and he kind of goes from there, gets a lot of responses. And so another thing a lot of people don't know is you guys can actually pull your birthdays from Facebook. So if you guys have a lot of clients on Facebook and you're worried, I'm building out my database, I don't have a lot of people's birthdays, you can export your Facebook clients and it'll pull their birthdays. Then you just cross-reference that with the database you've already hopefully rated, right? And that part sucks. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, guys. It's not fun. Okay, it's going to be 3 hours. It's not going to be fun. But once you have it done once, and you just move on from there. Home anniversaries. So we've had a lot of success. Home anniversaries are good if you guys are doing it. That's good. And it's nice to get a generic home anniversary. We're having a lot of success with specific messages depending on the years in their home, right? So a couple examples, I'm gonna just flip ahead. Couple examples here, guys, and there's so many examples we have, but one of my favorite ones is kind of like, if you look at, do I have year 4? Yeah, so year 4, you're letting them know, hey, you probably took a 5-year mortgage, renewal's coming up soon. It's probably started timing to look at your mortgage. Like a touch point like that is not just a generic happy home anniversary. They don't care, okay? But year 4, like if I'm the client, I'm like, oh shoot, like I probably should look at my mortgage. And that's a helpful touch point, right? Or little tip for you guys, like the way that we do year 3 or year 5, we actually bake in the home valuations as basically make them like, we make it part of your process. So we'll tell clients, hey, you're at year 5 in your home. Traditionally at this time, we like to reevaluate your home. And so the clients, when they get that, they just think it's part of your process, and they're actually just reaching out naturally, like, yeah, okay, what time's our home valuation? And it's also helpful for them to know, okay, how much equity have they built up, right? We're talking Ontario and BC markets here. We're getting a lot of equity in 5 years. My Calgary teams, not as much, right? But here's a couple examples here. And then investor anniversaries. AJ's a big fan of these, right? And, to your investors, you can get a little bit more numbers focused with them. Listen, 5 years in your investment property, should we start tapping into the equity? Is it time to divest? We can leverage the gains, right? Getting into that kind of thing, and having it automated is always nice, right? And like these will go out automatically depending on the years, but you can definitely do this too. If you have a little extra time, get your admin to, okay, what are we gonna do on the specific years, and have them do it. And it's just more contextual to the client, right? So holiday touch points, one of our favorite touch points here, just because they're so non-salesy, right? Like who can get mad at Sandra wishing you a wonderful Thanksgiving evening, weekend, any fun plans? Where people do the holidays wrong is they're gonna, they bring up real estate. Don't bring up real estate with the holiday touch points, guys. Just make it about the holiday. You can do it the weekend before. There's almost an excuse every month to touch people. I mean, couple months are a little sketchy. Like, where's August? But yeah, other than that, like holiday touch points, love them. It's a genuine check-in with clients. Let them bring up the real estate conversations, right? Here's a couple examples here. Some of the teams are doing, right? I had a guy on Dog Day in August, big dog fan, put a GoPro on his golden retriever, sent that out, crushed. Actually had 2 listings from the dog video, okay? It sounds funny, but like real business comes from like some of these fluffy touch points, especially some of my more serious teams in the room. These things do lead to real business, right? Or like your family on Merry Christmas, things like that. Another thing is giving value back to the database. So you guys probably have clients a lot of the time asking you, okay, so, do you have a list of roofers? Or, compile that into one list. We call it a contractor list. And you give them all their trades in one list, right? It's a great touch point. It's a value-based touch point. They really appreciate it. Service providers, so something like that where you're putting all your mortgage brokers, insurance people, and like you can put other local businesses in there as well. Local spots, that's more like restaurants, hiking spots, cafes. Place like Kelowna, right? We have people that want to know these kind of things. Okay, where is the good spots to go? Where is the best ski hill? You can use your knowledge of the local market and put that in a list and give people that value, and then some tips to winterize their home. So little ways of doing that where you put it together and you can give it to people in a concise way. And then the next time they say, can you send me a plumber? You just send them a link.
Hey,
right?
Adam.
Yeah.
These are really, I've been loving these. Can you share with people how you do this with like, what's the software for people who want to DIY it and build these lists out? Like we just got you to do it, but like if somebody wants to just do it, how are they doing that? Because you've created like a little web page for us for every one of these.
Yeah, it's a landing page, right? So the landing page, you can create the landing page with any kind of software you guys like. So like you could use, let's say a Wix.com. Like the main thing is compiling your list, and then we're using Google Data Studio and putting it into this like little iPad looking thing.
Yeah.
But we use Keep and Share to do like the PDFs, so you can put your PDFs onto something called Keep and Share. Take the Keep and Share, put it into the link. When they click the link, then it'll take them to the PDF, right? So that's a way of doing it, but obviously make sure there's good content in there, right?
So you text that out, that link to that,
exactly.
And then they go and they land on the landing page.
Exactly, right? So if we're gonna text out something for AJ, hey Sandra, whatever time of year you make it textual, I thought you'd really appreciate this list of our trusted contractors in the area. Boom, link right below, they click it, go straight to it. Right? Now, a little pro tip with you, I don't know how I'm doing on time, but a little pro tip is if you're doing something like a services list, it's a great way to build up B2B relationships in the market. Meaning, if you put on 100 different people that you're affiliated with that appreciate your service, text them all too. Hey, Sandra, I put you on my services list. I'm sending this out to all my clients. 450 people are going to see this. I hope you get some great business. And just leave it at that. Like we've had definitely success with don't put that little last part of like, by the way. Like, just leave it, give them the value, okay? They will come back to you, especially when you do it at scale. So that's kind of giving value back to the database. Automating the follow-up, I don't know what everyone's process right now is when somebody says, I want to buy in a year, right? And every team has a different process. Some people throw it on the calendar. Some people might put it into follow-up boss. Hopefully you're not ignoring those notifications. A lot of people do. The way that we've set it up for AJ is, basically, when somebody says, I want to buy in a year, we've already pre-set up a lot of little check-ins, and he just clicks when they're looking to buy and forgets about it. And then 3 months, whatever interval we want to set up, it's automatically texting them. The key with all of the texting, guys, is to make it feel natural, right? So not automated, like that's the whole thing. And little check-ins, coffee sometime, hey, just checking in. If you want to take the time, you can put in something like, I knew that your cousin was looking to co-sign. Like you can put in like ahead of time, little messages about what the follow-up's about. But the general thing is make sure you're automating your follow-up there. Automated CMAs, really good. Great way to open up the listing conversation. So we have our process for doing this. But if you can, if you guys can send out CMAs where, because I find a lot of realtors, what they do is they'll ask people, hey, do you know what if you'd like a CMA, fill out the form and I'll get you one. That's great. You might get 20 responses. We found better success doing the forgiveness rather than permission. Show people the numbers, get 300 of these things, send them out, let them see the numbers, because they'll be calling you saying, and a lot of times they'll be calling you and saying, but I did all these renos and I did this and that. Perfect. Now you're in a conversation with them. Oh, what kind of renos did you do? Okay, are you looking to sell? It just opens up that real estate conversation. They're good. They're grateful to know the appreciation. So automated CMA is super powerful. One thing that's important with this is, obviously making sure that, the value itself is adjusted. Right? So you guys are able to see the way that you guys can actually pre-adjust the value. So if it came back at $1.2 million, you think it's worth $1.1 million, you put in minus 100,000. Okay, now they'll see the number that you put in. But definitely flipping the script. I would encourage you guys to flip the script on, rather than asking, do the forgiveness rather than permission approach. Give people CMAs if you can. Let them see the numbers, especially Ontario and BC markets.
One thing on that, just before you keep moving, because you're ripping quick. How he's doing that?
Am I going too quick?
No, you're good. I just want to.
Sorry, guys. They told me to go quick. Yeah, I'm trying
HPI, the HPI tool in you guys understand that we have that in Realtor Link. You can go to the HPI, you can go to price estimate. And then as long as you know when they bought it, which you can do through a tax search, but ideally you have it in a spreadsheet and you have them all predetermined, that can actually all be done really, really easily. You could even hire a VA if you don't want to hire these guys. Hire a VA to manage that, and you could have all of those HPI. It creates a nice little graph. It does a little, it says based on when you bought here, for specifically to your neighborhood, your property type, here's what it would be worth today. You don't have to do a full CMA. You just literally enter 2 pieces of data into the HPI tool, and bang, you get a price estimate. And like Adam said, a lot of them are going to argue with that. Great. No problem. Let's have that conversation. Why do you care? Are we selling? Let's go. Let's have that chat.
Exactly. And yeah, so one of the things this is based on is the HPI. So you guys can go in there manually, grab this, grab it. We just put it in a more visual kind of appealing way, but if, you can definitely use the HPI and get that. And yeah, a quick little point about this is definitely like when you're going to send these out, if you're going to send these out, let them know it's a surface estimate, okay? Because you don't want to just say, here's the estimate of your home. Let them know, listen, this is surface estimate. It doesn't include renos. Now, the way that we typically follow this up, when you send this out, because we already know ahead of time, I already know what they're going to say. So they're going to say, I've done a bunch of renos. So you actually have a form set up, a survey. When they say I've done a bunch of renos, send them a survey where we can see, okay, what kind of improvements have you done? And we'll actually get them to write in. Because when they say that, you text them back, yeah, no problem, just fill out the survey. It's like 4 questions. What kind of renos have they done? I like sneaking a question in. This is a good little tip. You sneak a question in of what their moving time frame is. Just sneak it in. So in the middle of the survey, what's your moving time frame? Moving in less than a year. I've had so many teams that were so surprised at some of the response. They had no idea that Sally was looking to move in less than a year, or sometimes less than 3 months. And now they're having a different conversation with them. They're calling them right away. Here, Nick sent this out. Here's Nick's, right? So he was getting people coming back to him saying, hey, I'm moving in less than 2 years. I'm moving in less than a year. He had 2 people say, looking at an investment or second properties, right? That's huge for him. He can go back and now call them and get into that conversation.
So annually, you know what everybody in your database is thinking about doing, right? And so you can time out, as you said, these predetermined follow-ups. But how comforting is it to know if you send out 100 of these, you got 10 or 12 pieces of business that come from that? Maybe they're not all coming tomorrow, but now you know that it's happening on what timeline.
Yeah.
It's huge.
And they've also given you permission to basically talk about it, right? Like they've entered this in. Now you can go and do your thing and talk to them. And depending on the question about moving time frame, you can have that conversation with them. And a lot of teams, if somebody says they're moving in less than 2 years, you can use your knowledge of the market like AJ was talking about and saying, guys, 2 years from now, we might be even lower. I'm going to be straight up with you, right? So you can, I've had teams push up the date, right? Because you're keeping up with them. So systemized referrals obviously has to be done. Last point on this, don't abuse it, okay? So a lot of teams with these, especially because these work so well, they want to send these every quarter. I say, guys, fall and spring market, we're not looking to abuse it. Keep the rest of the touch points, giving value, giving holiday. Don't abuse it. Make it contextual sense, like to where the market timing is. And yeah, systemizing referrals. The best way we found to this, obviously referrals come naturally just by keeping up with people, but if you want to spike it, I like doing it once a year. We have a referral form, and we call it a friends and family form, and it's just more like, hey, Sandra, if there's any advice your friends or family are looking for, this form is exclusive for clients. We kind of make it an exclusive thing, and then we detail what kind of advice would their friends and family potentially be looking for. Investment advice, relocation, financing. You get granular about the type of advice. I find people that try to ask for referrals, sometimes they're so generic with it. Sandra, is there anyone I can help in your network? Like getting more specific, like what kind of advice do people in your network, and by breaking it down to the type of advice they might be looking for, they can start to think in their mind, oh shoot, like my aunt was looking for financing advice. Okay, so we go from there.
So again, that's just a page, a landing page, which you could create a type form. Like type form is an easy plug-in survey on there. You can just create this landing page, and then you have a little link, little bit.ly link that you can text people in an automated way, and it'll go right to that referral form. Yeah. That's a huge piece.
Yeah, that referral form also, it's nice because when people see that you have a systemized process for referrals, it also can increase the likelihood of giving you, rather than just a blanket, hey, I'm always here for your friends and family, send me it. When it's like, I'm here for your friends and family, this is exclusive for us, but here's our formalized process for this. When they see there's a formalized process, also more likely to actually fill it out. Nurturing realtor relationships, I think this one is huge. This is so underutilized. And a lot of our teams will actually nurture other realtors like you would nurture a client, just in a different way.
Shannon would be good for this because she's got a huge network of realtors that send her business.
people that have like big networks of realtors, right? You obviously want to do it. Like realtors are people too, so they like little holiday messages. I do have teams though that will do it differently. Like you might send a realtor meme, like a funny meme or stuff like that to your network to kind of engage them on their level, right? But putting them on birthdays, not as aggressive. We don't like to do this as like a client, where clients I like to do every 4 to 6 weeks. But nurturing realtors, huge missed opportunity. Same kind of principle. We're not looking to really give, like we're not looking to say, hey, do you have anyone, like just giving them value, checking in with them, building that relationship, let them come to you. It's very, inbound approach. Systemizing Google reviews, guys. So I actually spoke with a team this week. They were saying, like, I'm having a problem getting Google reviews. Okay, what are you doing? They're sending out a text, and they're wanting a Google review. They want to rate my agent, a rank my agent, a Facebook review, all in the same text. Okay, I'm like, no. One at a time, right? One at a time. And for Google reviews, there's an easy way you guys can grab your Google reviews here. We tell people go to business.google.com in the Get My Reviews section. That link is the magic link. That link over there is going to take them, when people click a link, right to leave the stars. That's what you want to do. When you're sending people to Google reviews, you want to make it really easy for them. Now, a little tip on this one is if you have a lot of reviews, let's say on Facebook, copy all those reviews. This is an easy way to get 20 reviews. Copy all the reviews they've already left you on Facebook. Send it to the same person. Say, Sandra, I've copied your review below. Do you mind just reposting this on Google? Here's the link. And it's really easy to just jack it up because they've already left it. It takes them 2 seconds. We have different scripts for getting reviews, right? But yeah, Google reviews, definitely, and AJ obviously has no problem with those, but let's get them, looking to get them to 1,000. So post-closing, super interesting. This one actually came, we've been doing this almost 4 years again. This was all client demand. So like they came to us, like you guys got to figure this out for us, because the problem that they're having, I don't know if you guys have the same problem, is you sell someone the home, you have this great relationship, and then communication drops off, right? So why, right? And it's because you're onto the next deal, you're busy, you're doing your thing, but it's actually a great time to get referrals when you check in with them post-sale. It shows them that you didn't care about just the sale and you want a long-term relationship. The way that we're doing this with AJ and their team is, automating this, essentially. So we've automated like his post-closing follow-up, right? So, he set it up the way, every team sets it up the way they like to, but in his case, he wants just checking in, how was your first night? Then he has, 4 days in, I believe it is, he's actually talking about, hey, great people know other great people, I'm always here for you. He's doing more of a referral ask. Then he's asking for the Google review automatically a week in. Then he's starting to give them a contractor list for some value. I think that's about a month in, 2 months in. And so now, you get a lot of, especially in that first 2 weeks of the post-closing, we're seeing a lot of referrals come in just because people are having friends and family come over to the house. They're seeing it. You're keeping up with them. But post-closing, there's also a pre-closing you can do as well. Have a systemized process where, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, go back to that, let people take a picture of that. That 137 closing program is huge because, again, they're in the moment of still having those real estate conversations. People, how's your new house and everything? How was your experience with your realtor? This is the moment where you're going to have the highest likelihood of getting a referral. So if we go back to that first one there, like checking in, just, hey, how was your first night? Hey, how was your first few nights? And then I have a secondary, that's a two text sequence that goes out. And then the third one, just checking in after a week. Maybe you want to send us a review, cool. And then we go into the 30. This one here is really important because now we're sending the link to our contractor list. Day 60, we're sending a link to our favorite spots. Have you had a chance to explore the neighborhood a little bit? Here's some of our favorite spots. Boom. And then a few months later, hopefully I've earned the chance to be your trusted advisor for life. My network's your network, blah, blah, blah. And just kind of cherry on top. That's kind of the end of the post.
The end of the post-closing, exactly.
In mine, I like to ask for opportunities to put my cape on, right? So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
moved in and it's like, hey, you must have found some things I can help with. Look for an opportunity to go above and beyond because they expect everything you've done until the point where you cash your commission check. Anything you do after really shows that you care. So the goal is to find something that you can do above and beyond after you've cashed your check. That's where then later asking for reviews and referrals become much easier because you show that you care.
Yep.
If you can solve a $200 problem, $300 problem for somebody, that's a great investment. Like if it's some little thing, you send your handyman up there to deal with something, or my second garage remote doesn't work, send JP from garage door opening place over there to get him a new opener. Like that kind of stuff, if you can solve those little things, that's like client for life material.
Yeah. And every team has a different way they do it, right? Some people don't do the direct referral ask. I mean, I like the approach that AJ has here just because, you know, again, the way that he's kind of written it, right? And it'll pull in their name and it's natural. Like one thing I've learned about after 20 years in the business, Sandra is great people, like different ways of doing it. You know, here's another way. I have other teams do it, right? But that post-closing, having it automated is obviously super nice, but you can have your admins set this up where it's like, okay, as soon as that post-closing happens, you give them the date, and at least it systemizes a process for them where they're reaching out, or you can do it within FUB, just, you know, hit those notifications, right? Booking calendar's nice. I mean, this is more of just like, because I know Calendly's great, but the way that, that we've set up the calendars, it's like before the actual showing or a couple days before, they're actually getting text reminders about the meeting. So rather than just having it, okay, they booked on your Calendly, now it's on their calendar, it is nice if you can set it up where 2 days before the showing, okay, Sandra, our showing's in 2 days. Okay, our showing's in a day, our showing's in an hour. During COVID, a lot of my teams had the, you know, put in the COVID stuff, right? So have your mask ready, all that thing. You know, having that kind of systemized on the booking. Some bonus for you guys, I use Real Info Box, okay? So what this does is it gives you a CMA. It's only available, all my Ontario teams are super jealous.
We don't have it here.
You don't, in
checked
Kelowna,
into it.
Vancouver only.
No.
Okay,
Sorry.
Shoot, sorry guys, sorry. But you can kind of like-
Don't tease us with this.
Yeah, I teased you, yeah, shoot. But one way like that we have found to do the market stats is, because you guys can get market stats, you guys can get them, okay?
Yep.
So get your market stats, put them on the PDF. The best way we've found to do it is going contextual to the neighborhood the person lives. So, you know, if I'm in Toronto, I don't care about the city of Toronto stats, right? I live in Ronsonsville, I want Ronsonsville stats. So getting contextual to your clients about which neighborhood they live in and giving them those stats, they'll respond a lot better. We just see way higher responses when, you know, you send out 7 to the people that live in a specific area, but like 5 of them are responding. It's like, oh, that's cool. I didn't know about our specific location. So if you guys can get neighborhood stats, try to, you know, separate them contextually. Virtual business cards are always cool. You know, basically you put up a landing page, throw a QR code on your business card, and the next time you meet somebody, hey, they just basically scan it. There's little technology, you can have like rings that do this kind of stuff, but an easy way to do it is set up a landing page, put all your different socials there, everything, and then throw your QR card on your business card. You want to talk about the one question, or I can go into it?
Yeah, this was something that we came up with last year. We all did it manually. We didn't have a system for it. Now we've systemized it with Adam, but this was a prospecting campaign we did. And I actually shared this at our last event. But the first text is just, hey, John, you got a quick minute? Almost like 100% reply on that. So you've engaged them now. Great. Just wondering what you think the market's going to do. Do you think it's going to go up or down next year? So what I'll usually say is, I'm taking a survey. So this is a little bit different than the language I used.
Yeah.
I said, I'm polling my team or my people to see which way they think the wind's blowing. Do you think next year the market's going to go up, stay the same, or go down? Right? And then depending on they're segmenting themselves now based on this survey question. If they think the market's going to go down, then I have a canned response that automatically goes, oh, so yeah, I have a lot of clients that think that as well. Do you think we should be having a conversation around divesting of some of your real estate to capture it at its highest price? Right? So it automatically says the logical thing that you would say to someone who thinks the market's going down, right? If they think it's going up, so this was back a year ago, the canned response I think it was going to go up was, yeah, a lot of people are thinking the same. Do you think, or would you like me to let you know when I think the prices have peaked? Right? So I'm asking a question of, do you want me to let you know when things have hit the peak, because you might have some sort of a need to sell or trying to time the market, right? Yeah. So I canned that. That one survey question opens up the conversation depending on way people think things are going. It was a pretty stealth move, and it got us a lot of business last year.
No, this one was really good. I mean, I've had other clients use it. I asked AJ, hey, could I try this with some other clients? We did. So one of my teams, she ran this, and this one was working so well, but she was kind of like she was like, oh, like maybe take it out. Oh, he took it out, and this crushed. She asked me to put it back. So
the quick minute?
Do you have a quick minute is a really good just initial, gets her attention. The way we've automated it for him, it's like 5 minutes later, then that comes automatically. And then you can either have them say like yes, no, or you get them to put a survey, just yes or no, and depending on the response, 3 minutes later, another message pops in. But you can definitely it's a good way to open up a real estate conversation, guys, like in general. Like you don't need to get super fancy. You just ask people, hey, do you think the market's gonna go up or down? And based on the response, then you guys use your experience to kind of help them. Vantage report. So here's something that Nick did, right? And so again, when we're talking about, I always get very because I've seen like the non-salesy touch points at scale work really well. So I'm always, when we're doing anything market related, we're really, really careful. We probably spent 25 minutes on this text together, right? Looking at this, literally maybe.
That's what you came up with?
But yeah, I mean, the way that he wrote this, like, again, contextual to the market at that time. This is right when it was dropping, so people were wondering. So it was like, hey, Adam, with the market change, I thought you'd appreciate our thoughts. Sent over that get their attention, and then we sent them the Vantage report, right? So another way of kind of doing it there. And yeah, I mean, apart from that, here's my number, guys. You guys have my phone number. Our website's clientnurturesystem.com. Feel free to implement a lot of these things. If you guys want help implementing having us implement it, we're happy to help. But just grateful to be here today. AJ's got a great.
Part of the concern I had was the speed at which text went, and like you said, not seeming automatic. Like, you guys have a really good way of spacing it out where it's a natural flow of when the messages come, and you can customize, like, it doesn't have to always be, hey, Adam. A lot of my people I call brother or buddy.
Yeah, he calls a brother.
Bro, probably too many.
90% are on bro for Nick.
So he's got a lot of bros. He's got a lot of brothers.
Whatever your nickname might be, and I've got some funny ones where they're close personal people, and I use nicknames, and so it will be a natural text. It doesn't seem
That's the whole point, right? If you're gonna do it, you got to do it natural. Like, don't like, if it's gonna feel automated, don't even bother doing the texting. But yeah, man.
Killed it. Well,
There we
Dave,
go.
hands together for Adam. That was awesome. Oh, can I steal the mic pack back from you? So I told Adam he only had 20 minutes, so that it was like watching a YouTube video on 1.5. So what I'm going to do for everybody is I'm going to send out our deck. Okay? I wasn't going to do that, but I'll just send this whole deck out to everybody so that you can go back. Because some of those slides, I noticed you didn't get a chance to pull your phones out, or some people were trying to take a photo and then it switched. And so I'll just send out the deck, and then photos become irrelevant. Sound good? Cool. Yeah, highly recommend what we've been doing with Adam, but wanted to do it in a way where, like, this is not a pitch to use Adam. It's just like, here's the playbook. Here's how we're building a fence around our people. Go and do likewise. So, okay, so we're using a thing called Sales Tool Pro, and you can have a lot of your first response back all one touch. So there's only 4 or 5 different scenarios that'll happen. So if you ask somebody if they have any big plans for Canada Day weekend, a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, we're doing this, blah, 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 and then they'll say, what are you up to? So, hey, write what you're up to, and so you can one touch, here's what I'm up to, boom, off it goes. If you get, which you often do, somebody saying something about real estate, then I would just say, oh, great, well, why don't we set up a time to chat further about that? Here's a link to my calendar. So that's a canned response. You wanna have a conversation about real estate? Great, Calendly, boom, here you go. So there's only about 4 or 5 scenarios, so they're all one touch, and I do that through an integration between Sales Tool Pro and Twilio, right?
Yeah. It also comes by way of a text, right? So it shows up in your normal text thread, who sent and what, and then there's an app, and you can text and have normal conversations. So this plays often.
Shannon,
initiates
you're up,
contact,
stud.
they respond,
Come on up.
whoever that
I'll
is.
bring you up.
You have a conversation with your
Yeah, well, let's go sit up here.
Another awesome spot with that is it's also like a web-based thing you can log into, like CRM, if you will, and you can respond on there. So you can bang on a keyboard
grab that.
as if you're texting.
All right. How good is this slide? Come on, I was working all night on that.
Me up here?
No, you're the old guy. I'm the girl with the smoke.
Thanks a lot.
So I just thought it'd be pretty funny to bring you up and see your reaction to that. But anyways,
Thanks a lot.
yeah. So like, we're probably some of the only people in this room that went through the last downturn and managed to see a decent amount of growth during that period of time. Like, you guys really exploded during that period of time. And so did we. And so I thought I would just create like a little panel, and hopefully you guys have some decent questions. I hope you guys engage here, because she was gracious enough to be brave enough as well to jump on stage and field your questions. She doesn't really have a dog in this fight. There's no benefit to her to do it other than just to pay it forward and provide value, just like we're doing. So wanted to just kind of open it up to you guys to see if you had any questions about what it takes to navigate this. What are some of the things, like, feel free to just totally wide open. There's really no question that's offside, hopefully, right? I just asked Shannon to see if she'd be willing to do it, and like, you just ask any question and we'll both take a spin at the answer. Yes, my friend.
I'm having this situation, and I'm not sure if others are having it too, where, because, we're coming in pretty low in offers these days, and oftentimes we can't quite get to where we need to be. So then the natural thing is cutting our commission to get the deal done. How are we handling that objection? Or should we just do it? Just cut the commission?
Do we have a mic for Shannon, by the way, so she doesn't have to scream?
I can you guys hear me if I talk this on? Yeah, this is good. We don't cut commission, so, and that's what I say. You know, you don't expect, you know, I don't know, I guess if you go to your lawyer or your, you know, they don't cut their fees, so why should we? And I think we bring great value, and I think, you know, value is always, if you're providing that value, people don't mind paying for it. So I think people are gonna ask, and you know what, kudos to people that do ask, but I think your just response is a lot of times, we just say no, and let there be silence, that's okay, because people go, oh, and then a lot of times they move on. And sometimes they might inquire further, and then at that point you can say, you know, we brought you an offer that's satisfactory, and you know, this is the way the market is. And you go in and use your experience and your expertise as to why that offer is a good offer. That being said, you know, as some of you probably witnessed when we've done deals together with a few of you, if you're $1,000 or something off, certainly we're deal makers. We're in this business to help our clients. But I would never do more than $1,000. That helps. Yeah, little stuff, like if it's little things like, well, the hot water tank, you know, and who's gonna replace it? You know, and I think we've done that before where we've said, let's split the cost of the hot water tank, let's just get this deal done. But it's not as far as, okay, I'm gonna, you know, reduce my commission $10,000. I've had people ask, and no, you know, you gotta stand your ground, my opinion.
We've got a dialogue I can send you. It's kind of like multi-layered objection handled to commission cutting that we train on it. And it's, like you said, a lot of people are going to ask. Most people only ask once. Some people are balls here. They'll ask a couple times. As long as you're loaded with some confident responses, you can usually get past most of them.
Yeah.
One thing to note too is commission, if there was a market for commission cutting, it's the one we just came through. We didn't do it then, but certainly now, no. Okay.
Yeah, you're working.
Going back to the value that we talked about, we're more valuable and we're working 3 times as hard to get a deal done. So no, the answer is no. And you know, just unfortunately no. Any other questions? Right? Like it's solid. If they really push, then you know you've got some things in the can. You should have some scripts. But to your point about like how do we bridge the gap, that's where if you're working on behalf of the buyer, they need to trust you enough to take. If you tell them, look, I'm going to negotiate. I'll set your expectations such that I'm going to get the best deal possible. And when I find it, if I think it's a good deal, with your permission, I'm going to endorse it. If I don't think it's a good deal, I'll tell you to walk. Right? And so you have that conversation when you get there and you say, look, I've ground everything there is to be grinded out of this deal. It's not their opportunity now to start grinding your comp. You've set the expectation. I'll get it to the best deal possible. Typically, the pressure comes from the other side, where there's no relationship. The other realtor or the other agent or the seller's agent says, hey, my client wants us to cut our commission. Stand your ground with that agent. You don't even have to have the conversation with the seller. Just say, no, I don't get involved in that. Like having a policy, so it's like, we don't do that, right? People's circumstances, especially if they're selling, they want the deal every bit as much as you want the commission, trust me. So stand your ground, be confident, you won't need to bridge the gap with your fees. What else we got? That's a good question.
Can I get one from both of you? If you were to go back 10 years ago, when Vantage was kind of newer, when it was Tamara and Shannon before, you know, they grew where they did now, what was your morning like, you know, coming in 2009, 2010? Can you tell me a little bit about how you structured your day and tried to kind of be intentional versus reacting to all the stuff around us?
Yeah, do you want me to go first?
Sure.
So back then, because of course the market changed, not as quickly as this market changed. Holy cow, I've never seen a market change this quickly. But anyway, back when the market changed, we became really systemized. So we had time, just like we do now, to become systemized, and so that's what we focused on. I would write out my to-do list. I still do it. I write out my to-do list the night before. Who am I going to phone? Who am I prospecting? What meetings do I have? You know, so every day I know when I wake up what I have to do. So I do that the night before. I wake up in the morning. I work out. You know, I do all of that kind of stuff before I get my kids off to school before, you know, 8:30, and that's when I then start my day. But, you know, I'll return text messages and stuff at 5 or 6 in the morning, but I'm not officially working until 8:30. I'm always home for dinner. That's just sort of my rule for my kids. And then I'll go back out if I have to at nighttime. We're scheduled. We're pretty scheduled and systemized with how everything is that we do. And I don't spend a lot of time looking at the news other than getting the little tidbits of things that of course you need to know. You need to know interest rates. You need to know what's going on. But the doom and gloom, you know what? Just ignore that. put your head down and work.
Nice.
You're up early though, eh?
I'm up super early.
Yeah.
I get up at 5.
Noticing a common theme,
Yeah.
Yeah, and to be fair, like going back in the rearview mirror, so thinking back to the time 2009, I would have been 25, 26. I hadn't really adopted the systematic approach yet at that point because Michael Plowman, our director of operations, who taught all the systems to me, didn't happen until 2012. So if I had to really think about that, that's why I made Shannon go first. What I remember doing though was I would have a list. So we didn't have a real systematic approach. We didn't have really any like great routines we were following at that point. But what I remembered that we did well was we would go, okay, who have we got that's even considering doing business, right? And I would have a list of them. And then next to that, I would say, well, what's their problem? Like, what's the issue that they're facing, right? And then I would have what's that potential solution? And at this point, I was really obsessed with creative deals at this point. So I was trying to figure out like, okay, what's the solution I can endorse to this problem? And there's really only 4 or 5 solutions, really. And there's really only 4 or 5 problems. So once you kind of have that matrix, then you can start going, okay, I kind of see a pathway now for this buyer being able to buy, whether it's financing or whether it is the seller's overpriced. Their problem is they gotta get their head around price. Okay, how am I gonna do that? What's the process I'm gonna follow? So we had this market plan review we would do, right? So I would have a very specific solution to every problem. And then the other thing that I would do, so that would probably be kind of how I would start the day. And then in the afternoons, I was always trying to find opportunity. So I would spend time looking at the hot sheets, spend time really looking to see, okay, where are the deals? Because I knew if I had deals that I could put those out to a group of people and I would likely be able to match somebody with a willingness to get their checkbook out with something that was a good enough deal. So I spent a lot of time at that point in my career deal hunting. So it was like problem solving, deal hunting. Those were my main objectives when I was just a cowboy in real estate trying to make it when things had changed. Boy, yeah, good question though.
I got a question regarding what type of value do you bring to your clients in a declining market like we're in, when you you've done your marketing up front, you've got your certain price where you thought you should be, their expectations were a little high, but over time you brought them down. Now you're at 60 to 90 days into this process, and your only tool in the tool belt right now is to reduce price. So how do you bring value each time you have that conversation with your clients besides just, hey, we got to reduce?
Yeah, that's good. I'll take the first one so you have more time to think this time. For us, it's all about, first of all, not taking ownership of the price initially. So I don't think that one of the values that I bring is telling you what your house is worth. I have a process whereby together we can take our best educated guess at where we think we should position it in order to be able to sell. But my listing presentation and the value that I bring is very heavy on the negotiating the best possible deal and very heavy on helping you navigate the market. We're facilitating this whole thing. It's a moving target. I'm gonna do my best to guide you through this process and help you stay ahead of it. And when we do finally get an offer, then I'm going to be the person that's negotiating on your behalf to get you the best possible deal. And then I'm gonna do all that in a 5-star fashion. None of that has anything to do with the price. Okay, so we don't take ownership of the price, therefore we don't feel bad when we were wrong. So we go there, we say, look, I don't know what your house is gonna sell for. The data suggests it should be in this range. Where do you think we should position it against these 2 or 3 comparables that other buyers are looking at? Okay, now also realize prices are dropping by 3% a month. Here's the process we're gonna follow to make sure we're not chasing it downward. I'm gonna do a predetermined price reduction schedule. We're gonna cancel the listing and remarket it at day 30 if we have to get new eyeballs on it. I have a process, but my value isn't, just because I've fired my cannons on Facebook and put it on the MLS, I have not spent my value yet. My value is in the entire process up until the point when they hand the keys over. So I don't have an issue having that conversation, provided I didn't take ownership of the price initially. It's a key piece.
Yeah, great answer. I don't have much more to add to that other than, really it's a partnership. So when you're taking on a listing, you are in a partnership with them. And again, as you said, we don't take ownership of that price. It's what the market dictates. And the market dropping 3 to 5% a month, we don't own that. But all we can do is advise them as to, okay, how do we get ahead of this? And probably the best thing is to list your house slightly undervalued so that you get some eyes on it and you kind of create that pending event. We all need pending events to try to get people to jump into the market right now. So how do we create that with a seller? And so that price point is the number one thing. And then of course the marketing, you can switch your branding. Who do you think the buyer profile is? Maybe we didn't nail it necessarily the first time, or we need to expand it, or maybe you can sort of have some conversations about that. But in a market like this, the number one thing is price.
Yeah,
the product itself too, a lot of times you give somebody advice, you gotta declutter, you gotta
Yeah.
make this room, you know, here's, your garage is full of stuff, so it's no longer an asset, it becomes some dumping ground when they view. So you're missing opportunities to have value when a buyer can conceive that. They may not listen to you the first time you go to a listing appointment, but later, look, it's not working. We did it your way. Now the advice I gave you, it's no longer advice. This becomes, you want to sell, this is what you have to do. And it goes back to AJ saying, you have to be willing to hit people between the eyes. It's not about what's easy and comfortable. It's, you hired me to consult you to make sure that you don't leave any money on the table. You got to do some heavy lifting. Just get the stuff out of your garage, declutter, prep for the sale. And that second market plan review that AJ talked about will be a time where you really reinforce that original conversation.
You go back to the 3 Ps. We've got the product. We can make the product better. The promotion we've satisfied because we come with a marketing report that shows thousands of eyeballs on it. So we're really not there to discuss the effectiveness of our marketing. We're demonstrating the effectiveness. So now let's talk about the other 2 levers, which is the product. Are we making that better? Or, okay, no, then great. That leaves 1 lever to pull, which
That's
is
pretty key. You have to satisfy the fact that you've done your job. I'm here as a professional marketer to make sure everybody knows it's for sale. The other 2 things are both the product we're selling and the price we're asking. Either you give them more product for their money, or you make the value exchange better by lowering the price if it's the same product. So
people get it when you explain it that way, but you must clear the hurdle of saying, here are the 4,200 people that we've put on that you put eyeballs on your property. Here's the 114 people that took the Matterport tour. Like they can see that everyone who knows everyone who's shopping right now knows you're for sale. That's not on trial here. So now let's talk about the other 2 levers. But you got to demonstrate that first.
And talking about bringing it to that next price break, which you had talked about earlier, how many more eyes will then go on it? What are we seeing? And really knowing the stats. Like I love looking at stats and figuring out, okay, what properties are selling, as you had talked about that 1 million to 1.5. We've seen a change and a shift drastically in that price point. But knowing some of those numbers and knowing, okay, well, if we jump, down from 1.1 down to 999 or a million, all of a sudden we're going to have totally different eyeballs on our property, and here's why. So it's just being really factual. And as we said, it is a partnership. Sometimes we'll say to people, so have you had anybody drive past the property really slowly? And they're like, no. Wow, well, maybe you need to increase the curb appeal. Maybe put some flowers out. Like, it's a partnership.
I like that.
Just as you said, cleaning out the garage, doing some of these things. It's what are they doing to also help make sure the property sells well? That's their job.
Nice. Question over here.
I totally agree on the fact that, as far as pricing the property, helping client price their property, that's not the thing that we should lead with. But, early on in when we become realtors, that's often what we lead with when we're trying to list properties. Heading into a market now where it's a little scrappier, and you're going to get agents that are going to be trying to compete on price. I'm just wondering, what your thoughts are on trying to get a commitment from the seller to work with you prior to giving them the price.
I got a good answer for this, but go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sure. First thing we do is take anybody that's coming to your house to tell you what your house is worth, unless they have their checkbook out, it's irrelevant because they don't set it. So you clip that at the knees. You say, look, a lot of realtors are actually going to come here and try to buy your business by telling you what you want to hear. This is not the market for that. I'm here to tell you what you need to hear. Do I have your permission to speak freely with you? And they go, yep. So now you've clipped that. You say, good, I'm going to share with you what we do to get homes sold and how our process for getting you the most amount of money. And then we're going to discuss how to potentially together as a do-with process, we're going to figure out where to position your home. I do my marketing presentation. At the end of it, I ask them a tie-down question, which is, based on everything you've heard so far, do you feel that I'm the best qualified to handle the sale of your home? And then I don't proceed until they give me a yes. If they say, well, it's decent, and compare, so what else have you seen? Help me understand that. I want to understand the differences, but I'm not even going to get to price until I've gotten them to acknowledge that we're the best to handle it. Because it's irrelevant. The price, I don't set it. The other agent doesn't set it. You don't set it, unfortunately, Mr. Seller. The market sets it.
You're looking for a verbal confirmation right there.
Verbal confirmation. Yep, you sound like you're the most qualified to handle the sale. Great. Now let's talk about how together we'll position your home in such a way that it's the most attractive to buyers.
And I find too, asking them, directly to saying, what's most important to you when selling your house? And sometimes they'll say, well, price. Okay, well, that's then when you have your conversation of, well, price really is determined by the buyer. Value is determined by what a buyer is willing and able to pay, and unfortunately, we don't decide that.
You're not cutting the check.
Yeah, but asking them what's important.
Sorry. I was just saying pricing couldn't be more important because all buyers right now, they want to buy ahead of the market just like they were on the way up. Somebody who's prepared to pay more than what something is worth to try to get on the trajectory of things, right? It's okay. When I get the keys, it'll be worth it then. it's kind of the inverse now. Nobody wants to pay what it's worth today. So if you've got a guy that's a couple % above what it's probably worth today, well, it certainly won't be worth anywhere near what you're asking by the time somebody gets their keys. You have to give somebody a deal that's worth getting off the fence for right now. So if you're not pricing where it feels like you're leaving some meat on the bone, you're not going to get the showings that result in action, right? We don't want just showings. Showings are painful, they're pain in the ass. You're not going to write an offer. I'd rather be dreaming in peace and not have to clean up my house, right? So you really have to price competitively to the point where you're giving them a deal that compels them to take action.
Yeah, all set. Some really good questions. Any others?
What marketing has been most successful versus waste of money?
Good question. Most successful in this market? I think really, I think when you look at sort of, again, it's the value, because you have to look at what the cost and the spend is on marketing versus what the value is. And I think when you look at some of the stuff you can do on social media for free, essentially, creates great value in what you can get in return for it. Billboards and all of these things that are brand specific, those are really hard to obtain one deal to. So they create your brand and they create you're known in the marketplace, but it's really hard to say, okay, that was by that one deal. For us, actually, it was back in these times, we did actually a lot of snail mail. So we kind of went back to basics back in 2009, 2008, 2009, and that was effective for us at that point. The market's changed now. I mean, that's a long time ago. So, what's most effective now will be different than what it was in that market at that point.
For sure.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, the investment, like if we're talking specific to getting listings sold versus what's a waste of time, the investment in really good photos, really good marketing assets, I think is well worth your time. And then the other thing that we've invested heavily in is what we do in advance of the listing. People have this idea that we're doing it to double end stuff in-house. That's not why. It makes it so much easier to get the listing sold early when you've created pent-up demand. So any money that you can spend early to let the world know this listing is coming, and they're going to change it on us now Jan 1, where we actually can't do it. I guess enough people complained about the coming soon programs that now we're going to only have a 3-day shot clock. That's still fine. That's all you need. Let the real estate group know on Facebook something's coming. Put the sign rider up. Send out a blast, a targeted email blast. Send out a targeted, try to own the digital footprint for it very early, like doing all omni-channel on social so that Google knows that you guys are the authority on the listing. But all that stuff that you do in advance of it going listing is going to be your best investment. And then ongoing, figuring out who the client avatar is and targeting them on the socials, on Facebook and Instagram, are probably going to give you your best bang for your buck, where you drive them to a forced registration, where they have to register in order to see more. You might show them 1 or 2 pictures of the property, and then they have to register at that point. So sending them to your website to a specific page, that's going to be like, if you're really looking to quantify your marketing dollar, spending the money to get the reach to a particular demographic, which is harder and harder now because Facebook's made it so that you can't get super targeted, but you go out to, you can do age still. So you can figure out kind of the age demo of your, and your geolocation, and then you drive them to a landing page and get them to register. That's going to be your best bang for the buck.
And are you looking more for like yourself as a realtor getting your name out?
Marketing as well, like do your headshots on the highway, do those work? People call and say, hey, I saw a picture on the highway, I want to work with you.
No, like truly, I don't get people phoning and saying, or I don't know, you get people phoning.
I get people approaching me randomly. Hey, I know you from somewhere. I'm like,
Somewhere,
fucking
yeah.
billboard.
What do you do? I think the big thing is don't be a secret agent. For a long time, I used to kind of be a bit of a secret agent. Like I had actually, because I help out at my kids' school, and I'd be helping out at the school, and because my name, my maiden name is Stone, but my married name is different than Stone. So at school, I was kind of like, oh, this is cool. Like people don't know my real last name, and I'd be helping out at the school, and one of the times I had one of mom's feeling, so nice. Do you work? And I'm like, do I work? I'm like, holy shit, you have no idea. I work all the time. But, and I realized at that point, she doesn't know I'm a realtor. Like, what an error, because that's who my group is. I mean, I'm a mom, they're a mom, we can relate together. So don't be a secret agent. Make sure that people know what you do. Go to your clubs, get known out there. It's a really inexpensive way to sort of do it if you're joining clubs and being known. Our dad used to say, he was in the business in the 80s when interest rates went as high as on your screen. They, in the, what were they, 20%?
22.
And our dad's advice was, go put your name badge on and walk around the mall. I'm like, it's so old school. Like, walk around the mall with your name badge on? Like, so tacky. He's like, you'll meet people. People ask you questions about real estate. It works. And it does work, as cheesy as it is. Go to Costco, oh, my name, oh, I forgot about my name badge. Oh, yeah, I meant to take that off. But they'll start a conversation with you, right? Like, it's simple and it's cheap and it does work.
A lot of people, because we spend probably more than most, I think, in town on marketing, people ask what works, what doesn't, and they ask about the branding, like the big image stuff, like the TV, the radio, the billboards in relation to the other stuff that we do online. The answer I always give is up until the point where you're doing about $2 million in revenue, your money is way better spent on lead generation than it is on branding. Eventually what happens is the branding makes the lead generation more potent because people are more likely to click a pay-per-click ad if they recognize my name. So it'll drive my cost per click down. But if I'm looking to grow and scale my business, I'm going to invest in things that are measurable, direct response stuff that I can measure the result and make sure I'm getting a return on my ad spend. It's very hard to do with radio, TV, and billboards. They definitely work, but you need to have the budget to create the frequency and reach in order for it to actually do any damage. And your money, if you're just trying to make $3,000 a month go, that's not where to spend it.
And for somebody that doesn't have a ton of money out of the gates to spend on money, like cultivating your database is probably one of the most cost-effective ways to find
100%.
an opportunity, right? Like you position yourself as a consultant, somebody that's there to provide value, not to sell you anything, and you don't have to feel salesy. Like the cool part is our business, everybody's a prospective client, like everybody cares about real estate. The more conversations you can find yourself in just from the purpose or direction of providing value, you have an opportunity to help somebody, and if it's not them, turning their particular activator on high and getting them to be out there being your walking, talking billboard, like you want them referring you, right? So just having conversations, and I think that would be the strategic kind of like automatic stuff we're talking about with bomb and text.
Yeah, investing in your database is going to be your best investment for sure right now.
It's not for lead gen, next best, besides Sphere and referral base.
For lead gen, yeah, so best lead gen source for us that I've been able to like track to a return on ad spend has been neighborhood pages on our website with targeted like Black Mountain homes for sale, PPC ads. They go, they register, and then we call them, hey, I see you're looking for homes in Black Mountain, tell me a little more, right? Follow up and behind that. That's gonna be your most, like your best return on ad spend for sure.
Yeah, specific.
Clicks used to cost 15 cents, now they cost 85 cents. So that's changed the game a little bit. You're paying more for the clicks. 9.5 out of 10 clicks that you buy will get to your paywall where you ask them for the information, they'll bounce. So that's pushed the average registration from $10 to like $22. So you've got to be mindful of that. If you don't have a really good lead conversion process, you're probably pissing the money away. Because even if the people who convert, you're doing well if you can get 1 out of 100 to do any business. So you're a couple grand before the person's ready to do something. So you got to be willing to spend $2,000 in order to acquire the customer. But like Dan Kennedy said, whoever can afford to pay most to acquire the customer wins. So don't be afraid to spend money on marketing. This is the time to do it. Don't play it small. But you got to be measured with it for sure.
What's the best lead conversion training?
Best lead conversion training. I like Dale Archdeacon's got Conversion U through Follow Up Boss.
Oh, yeah, that is good, yeah.
Follow-up boss, is that something?
So he's one of like the people that has integrated his services into Follow Up Boss. You can get it without, if you're not working Follow Up Boss, doesn't matter. You can go to Conversion U and
Boss's database system, yeah.
yeah, it's just he's figured out a lot of ways to integrate the way he does follow up into that particular CRM, but you could do it in any CRM. But I would give Dale Archdeacon a call from Conversion U. He's got some good training programs and they're inexpensive.
Quick question, guys. Actually, two, if you don't mind, please. If you can go back and to the time where you maybe started leading a team of whatever, 4 to 6 partners, business partners, agents. Number one, what was the biggest mistake that you made during that time? And the second question, what was the second?
Well, some I can't say.
I have to go through an entire like Rolodex of mistakes, so you go first.
I'm like, oh, that one. Biggest mistake. I think probably our biggest mistake was not letting go soon enough and getting in our own way, I think. I think it's hard when you build something up and it's your name, you kind of feel that people need you. And you kind of think, well, they need me. They don't actually need you. And actually, whoever they're going to get that you've trained really well, they probably do a better job than you do. So it was getting out of our own way was, I think, our biggest mistake. Was also what helped us the most, was allowing our agents that work with us to really be the ones that are shining, because they're really good.
Yeah. I think my biggest mistake from if I look back to say 2008 to 2012 which is, for me, that's kind of like a demarcation of when I got serious about being systematic and everything. Up until that point, my ego suggested to me that I knew a better way to build it and that I should just reinvent the wheel. So everything I was doing a lot of things to like try to be super different, which works, but also there's a lot of things that have already worked where success leaves clues, and you can, for very low amount of money, hire somebody who's already been to the mountaintop to tell you how to get there. It wasn't until 2012 that I got serious about hiring Plowman Team Systems, and I said, okay, give me the roadmap. I want to scale a team. I got all these programs, and I got all these things, these whiz-bang things, but they're not scalable because I didn't have systems. I had programs, but no systems. So once I got serious, so the biggest mistake I had was pissing away really 14 years, because I started my brokerage, I started in 2001 and didn't really get serious till 2012, so 11 years, without really following anyone's advice. I literally thought I was smarter and that I could reinvent the wheel. Lo and behold, the way to build a team is well documented. You don't have to reinvent it. The second biggest mistake that I made, that's an easy one for me, is lack of focus. And I still struggle with this because as an entrepreneur, the shiny object syndrome, like, you know, like the movie Matrix, the lady in the red dress, you know, she walks by and everybody looks. Every internet marketing thing is the lady in the red dress for me. Everything I see online is like, oh, what's that? Oh man, I get so excited. And
So true.
And you gotta learn how to just put your blinders on and focus. The acronym, follow one course until successful. I would have made gazillions more had I been more focused. I got so caught up, everything from different marketing stuff to different businesses. Like I've created different business lines and different things, little side hustles. I have a construction company. Why do I have a construction company? I don't need this. I would be so much more successful without a construction company. But now I got people who's, you know, they feed their family on it. So I would shut that thing down in a minute. But unfortunately, focus. The biggest mistake I made was thinking that I needed to expand and go wide, go deep with one thing.
Yeah, that's true. And that actually makes sense for your marketing and stuff too. Focus on one sort of thing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Another question. So when you take on someone onto your team, you know, you're going to provide them a certain amount of business and volume, whatever. What ratio are you looking for that person to bring? Like how much business are you hoping that they produce in addition to what you bring to them? So say you give them 10 deals, how many deals do you want them to bring to the funnel?
Our goal with our group, and we're not there yet, but we're working on it. Our goal with our group is for them to bring in 25% of their business. So that's our goal.
The way that I've done it, just by way of numbers, is I will scale up our lead generation and our amount of opportunity by enough that, based on our average conversion, would result in between 2 and 3 deals a month for that new person. And it's really scalable that way. Now, that leaves room in their business for them to do 1 deal a month from their center of influence, which is right around the average of what people do, you know, anywhere from 10 to 12 from their COI. We like to provide enough opportunities so that even with very average conversion, you know, 2/3 of their business will be team generated. Now, some of them do much more, some of them do a little bit less, but in that average, that's kind of how we've done it. So it's kind of a 2 to 1. Yours sounds like it's like a 4 to 1, or 3 to 1, sorry. Any other good questions?
I just have a quick, just a tip on the lead conversion. If you guys are running lead gen, right, and I definitely recommend like trying to text them or get back to them within 5 minutes. And a good question that some of our teams use is, would you prefer a text or a call? You just ask them, right, in that first question.
Yeah, there's no yes or no to that.
Yeah, there's no yes or no. Like, hey Sandra, and like try to make it personal. Emojis always work, like things like that, where it doesn't feel auto, and then just, would you prefer a text or a call? And they'll let you know, because sometimes they prefer communicating via text or via call, and just use their method that they say.
That's sharp.
Yeah, definitely.
Any other questions, guys? It's really good.
Yep.
Any tips or resources for where to get a really solid, relevant listing presentation?
I just did that program. I'm behind on my credits or whatever, so I'm trying to do all these courses. I've left it to the last minute.
By the way, you all get 3 credits for being here, just so you know.
We do?
Yeah.
Oh, that means I'm set. Perfect. I didn't know.
You got to go in self-directed, though. Like, it's not automatic. You got to go into the back end and go self-directed and then put what it was.
Oh,
On that note,
awesome.
I think we have to take attendance for that.
We have a thing. We have an attendance thing. We'll turn it into a thing. Eventbrite will spit it out.
But I just did that auto prop thing I had never done it before, that's in Matrix. You guys probably have done it. That thing's pretty good to do like a basic CMA if you wanted to. It's not what we use, but I was pretty impressed with all the information that comes up on that.
Yep.
So you could utilize that. As far as an actual CMA, we've designed our own. You guys probably designed your own.
Yep.
I don't know,
Not the CMA, the list.
Presentation itself.
oh, like when you're actually meeting with people and, yeah, we did our own too. You guys probably have, but I'm sure there's YouTube videos or something on it.
Yeah, you know where I found one that was pretty decent? It was Keeping Current Matters. I don't know if you've subscribed to them, but they have really good relevant stats on that. And I think somewhere in their suite of services, they have but you can go online and like type in listing presentation for a realtor. There'll be a bunch. Look through the ones that, really the important thing is are you doing those things? Like you couldn't copy ours because you're not doing the things that we're doing. You got to figure out what is your value stack, right? And with a listing presentation, you need a couple things. Number one, you need to be able to satisfy that you have the best exposure in the market, right? You got to be able to satisfy that. Then you need to be able to satisfy that you have a service process that you're going to bring them through this in a 5-star way, right? Then you have to satisfy that you're a good negotiator. So we like to demonstrate our negotiating average against the industry. It's very easy to beat the industry. So you can demonstrate that and quantify it. We're outperforming the industry by 1.5%. Your home is $1.2 million. This is about an $18,000 savings based on what an average agent would be able to get you. So that quantification. So we have like a process, value stack, talk about the money that we save, and then we go into some of the risk removals. So we have a guaranteed sale program, but you could have a risk removal which is as simple as a day-to-day listing. I've been running the day-to-day listing since like 2009, which is if at any point you don't feel that I've lived up to the promises that I've made here or the expectations that I've set, you can fire me at any time. That gives you the comfort to know that you don't have to worry about this being a marriage, and I have my feet to the flames. I have to perform, otherwise you can gas me. And they like that. So you remove the risk, and then you ask them the tie-down question at the end. Based on everything you heard, do you think we're the most qualified to handle the sale of your home? Everything else you put in between is, it's just got to be enough to satisfy that hurdle so that they say yes when you ask them that question.
And there's some great stats with whatever brokerage you're with. Like I know, Ed, you guys would have great information for you guys as you just rattled off your stats, but any brokerage would have stats of how they compare. So if you don't have stats yourself, use your brokerage's
Yep.
stats for the time being, fill it in.
Totally. Good stuff. Well, this was super valuable, and I so appreciate you being willing to
Thank
do
you for
it.
having
That was
us, and
awesome.
thank you
Big
for
hand for
being
Shannon.
here.
You killed it. Thank you. All right. And obviously, we're accessible. If you come up with a question later or whatever that you thought, damn, I wish I would have asked that, you can always buzz us. I'm always happy to answer questions. So, unfortunately, I was just looking at the time. We're at high noon already, aren't we? And we only have this place booked till now, and we got to get the whole thing taken down and everything by 12:30. So, what I'm going to do is kind of fast forward to a couple more pieces. We're not going to get to creative deal structures. So what I'll do, because I wanted to record this anyway and have it recorded, I will do a separate video specifically on this training, and I will send it to everybody that came, okay? That's the only way we're going to be able to get this done, because this is like a 15, 20-minute segment on its own, and we just don't have the time. So I will record it. I won't have your guys' interaction while I'm recording it, but it'll still be good, I promise. I did want to talk about trading, though, while you're here, because I know some of you won't watch the video. Trading is super key. Shannon and I did this back in the day. We used to actually have these like go fish brunches or lunches where we would show up with our inventory, because we would have lots of inventory. And all you really need to know is what your people had, which we all do, if you know what they have, and where they want to go when they're done. And then you sit with somebody across the table and you look at their stuff, and you're looking for a two-way match. Okay? Somebody with a condo looking to move up to a house, somebody with a house looking to move down to a condo. Hey, let's introduce our people. You take my problem, I take your problem, okay? 2 ends on both sides, 4 ends created out of thin air. This works really well when nothing's moving. Right now, things are still moving to some degree. But when we get into the absolute depth of this market, where literally it's a total standstill, this is how you get out of gridlock. These trades saved our bacon back in 2009.
People need to move, right? Like,
They gotta move. If you've got, so you have as many deals as you have move-up buyers. That was one thing I learned when I started getting into trades heavily, is it's very easy to convince somebody with a $1.4 million house, particularly if they built it or have moved on already. It's very easy to get them to take a $700,000 townhouse that's all now rentable, by the way. This just made things much easier because before the next question was, can I rent it? And a lot of times the answer is no. Now the answer is yes. So all stratas are rentable. Great. You can take this rental property on. I'll find a tenant, I'll send it to our property management division. They'll find a tenant for you. We can get you kind of close to a break even. But the good news about this is if you take this on, you don't have to take a big pill on your place because it's you take my problem, I take your problem. They don't refute your price at $1.4 million because you're willing to give them full blast on that townhouse. Why would the person with the townhouse do it? Because they need all the equity in order to be able to get up to that price point, right? They can't take the pill that they would need to take. So you have these people who are in these situations. You can take those, especially if you've got the move-up buyer, you can take and shop them almost anywhere. There are tons of people sitting on $1 million stuff that they're trying to sell that will happily take something of lesser value on trade. So in actual practice, how we do this, on Matrix, I have mine called My Trade Display. Where is it here? Yeah, see up here? You have different displays that you could create. So I created a custom display, and what I have is I have the other agent's name. That's the important piece of information. So this gives me people to call, okay? And this over here, some agents actually do this. I'm going to try to promote the idea that we all start doing this because once you have a database where you know what people have and now you know what they want, you can actually kind of go shopping in here to see if there's 3 or 4 options for your people. And then you know exactly from this exact display, you know exactly which realtor to call and say, hey, I got a client. And you're calling on behalf of your move-up people. Don't call on behalf of your people that are looking to take less. They're not valuable in this situation. The valuable people are the move-up people, okay? And there's lots of options in here. And sometimes people will just put bring your ideas, call them too, right? A lot of people are vague about it. They're just like, hey, I don't know, something of lesser value. Cool, call them. Hey, I've got this, right? So super nice little hack there. When you upload your listing, upload it as trades yes. You don't have to have your client 100% ready to take a trade. You just need to know where they're going and whether or not, simple question. If I could solve your next property simultaneously and they bought your property for a great number, would you want to hear about that? That answer is always yes, okay? So in which case, everybody is really a candidate for trading, unless they're leaving town and they're just a hard no, okay? I'm not going to get into seller financing 101. I got lots more good stuff to show you. I'm sad we ran out of time. I will make a really good video for you guys and send it out. You never know how long these things are gonna go. I can't blame Adam, he talked 1,000 miles an hour. It's probably my fault. I didn't even tell my 30-minute embarrassing story. So anyways, hope you guys got tons of value out of this. I really appreciate you. I got a quick head count based on this and the investor night we're doing tomorrow, which you're all invited to, by the way. We've raised over $8,000 for the charity. I think we got a couple grand in costs for the venue, but pretty much all the net proceeds are gonna go to Hampers. I'm super pumped on that. And I really enjoyed hanging out with you guys. And I hope that this continues and we can continue to elevate one another together. And yeah, that's it. That's the whole deal. So if you were waiting for a pitch, you didn't have it. Thanks, guys.